All right, everybody. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. This is Wesley from the Central Ohio GameDev Group, or COGG. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Give you guys a little bit of a head stream. It takes a couple seconds, but very excited for today. Hey, George. Good to hear ya, or see ya in terms of text. Cool. All right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Central Ohio Game Dev Group. Let me go ahead and switch myself over so you guys can see me. You guys see me okay? Hello! Hi, my name is Wesley Adams. I'm one of the admins here in the Central Ohio Game Dev Group. We're a local Ohio game group that kind of helps supports game developers from all around Ohio. We do a lot of different events throughout the month, so I'm going to be going over some of that stuff and a little bit of an update of what we did last month and what's going to be coming up for August. Or excuse me, not last month, this month, and what's coming up for August. So a little bit about my background. I work with a local game studio called Multivarious Games. I'm a co-founder. I've been working with them for several years. My background, interestingly enough, is in 3D and 3D animation. So a lot of our folks actually tend to be a mixture of different backgrounds. A lot of them are programmers, artists, sound designers, and we're here to help everybody. So our goal is if you're coming into this first time, we want to know ways that we can support you. If you've been doing this for a while, we're trying to create different avenues to support you as well. If you're here to learn anything about game development, great. If you're just here to experience some really cool games and some concepts and the what making games and what games are about, you're also welcome here too. We need players, we need developers, we need everybody in between. So welcome. We're happy to have you here. Um, so what I wanted to go ahead and do, looks like everybody can hear me. I'm going to be keeping a tab on the chat channel today. It'll be me working away there as well as checking in with our mini presenters today. There's a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm very excited about our July presentations. So let me go ahead and hopefully switch over to our PowerPoint. All right, so we're the Central Ohio Game Dev Group. It's July 29th, 2022, or 23, excuse me. And I got a couple of notes. So this month, just kind of let everybody know we're a collection of game developers who want to help each other make games. We collaborate with other local groups like CCAD, Columbus State, OSU, and more. We also connect with other different game groups. There's a game group in Cincinnati. There's one in Cleveland that are really popular. There's actually one I just found out from one of you guys in Dayton. There's all around Ohio. We also support local outlining states. And if you're just in games in general, like we want to know about you. So any way we can help, we try to do our best to support everybody. Obviously, we focus in on Central Ohio, but we're happy to connect, and we're actually working to get some more external support as well. So I've got some folks actually, thanks to some of our admins and some of you guys, connecting us with different game developers they've been to with different conventions, connecting with those and hopefully to get them as presenters in our future events as well that are not just in Ohio, but maybe outside Ohio, maybe even in the outlining states. So more to come in the future as we start to set those things up. So the big thing today, and a lot of times you may, if you come to our events before, we definitely do showcase what our next month events are. Now these are tentative, so they could change. As you may have noticed, like we had a little bit of we had a little bit of a change in our schedule for our Let's Play series this Sunday, so we weren't able to do that. But we will continue to do at least 3 events a month. So that is our Prototype and Play. So for August, we have Prototype and Play. It's always the second Friday of the month. Like 9 times out of 10, it usually is. Sometimes we have to move it forward. And we do a mixture of online and in-person events. This month for right now is online. If that does change, we do get a venue. We will let you know as soon as possible. But that will be August 11th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Right in our Discord channel. Let me go ahead and I will actually put that message in there. If you are in our Discord channel, there is a README channel at the top that will give you a lot of really good information. So I went ahead and put the invite right in there. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, it's a great place to find all our information, and it's a great way to talk to us directly. So I talked to a lot of you guys there throughout the day. Prototype and Play is a great event if you especially have a game like a work in progress or even a finalized game and you just need some feedback from a community. This month we were actually at Game Arena in the Gateway. It's been a really good staple. Every 3 months we've been doing that. So July was our 3rd month. We did it also 2 other times this year so far. Our next one will most likely be in October. So keep an eye out on that. We're kind of keeping that cadence and trying to get people aware about that as soon as possible. But that, as far as I know, is going to be the same thing unless Game Arena has something crazy going on that time. And what we do is we get to the 2nd floor, and there's a little catwalk area where you can bring in your laptop. Some folks brought in some card games. Some people bring in VR equipment. We have tons of different TVs and couches and Wi-Fi and outlets and all kinds of good stuff, and we just get a bunch of food from the bar downstairs. So if you're interested in hanging out on a Friday night, kicking off your weekend, that's a great one to go to. This month we're going to do it online, so it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be in our prototype and play channels in our Discord. So definitely check out our Meetup page, which is meetup.com/the-cog, uh, COGG, and that'll give you all of our events, and that'll give you more information about how to get connected into our Discord and how to showcase there. And so we will be requesting very soon, in about a week, if you're interested in presenting an online prototype and play event, like you've got a game or something. Basically, we give you a voice channel and a chat channel to post stuff, and people will jump in, and we'll kind of curate like a group of people during the event online and kind of shuffle them through different channels to get people to kind of have the developers talk to the audience and kind of break down a little bit of what their game progress is and give them feedback. So it's a great way to kind of catch up with folks as well as like see some games in progress. So definitely check that out. That'll be August 11th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then we have our Let's Play series hosted by Caleb Eno, who's a great game designer, developer, supporter, admin of COGG. He does these every fourth. Oh, I just I misspelled this. Sorry. They're every fourth Sunday of the month, so it's August 20th. Or excuse me, not fourth, but every third Sunday of the month. August 20th is this month. It'll be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and it's a deep dive on a game of usually his choice, but sometimes like we'll do a vote of a game coming out to the community. So if you guys have like a game that you're actually making and you want feedback, as sometimes we do that depending on the progress of the game. If it's more finalized, obviously that's kind of what we want because we want to do a deep dive on like the different mechanics and how they pertain to game development and the design and whatnot. So Caleb helps to do that on YouTube, and it's a great time. It's like a very nice way to kind of end up your weekend and have a lot of fun there. So check that out. Right now, that's August 20th. Sometimes we move it up a date depending on our schedules, but for the most part, we try to do that every month and have some fun there. Our GameDev Meetup, which is just this one right here, is every fourth Saturday or the last Saturday of the month, whichever kind of comes first. So if there's a fifth Saturday, it's usually that one. Whichever is the last Saturday of the month, we do that event. And just like what you see here, it's from 1 to 4 p.m. Sometimes it lasts till 4, sometimes it doesn't. This today actually might go on till 4 p.m. We got a lot of presenters today, so we'll see how that goes. But this is a great one that you should attend or at least watch later because, like I said, this is where we showcase what's coming up in the next month. It's a great way to get feedback from you all and showcase some of the things you guys are working on and present those to a crowd, right? So more than just prototype and play, which is like casually people coming and going. This is like an audience, right? And so sometimes we do this online, sometimes we are doing this in person. We haven't done it in person in a while, to be honest, but hopefully we're going to get that to change. We've been working a lot of stuff in the backgrounds to do some in-person events, and the Game Dev one is definitely one that we're working to do because that's the one we've always had since the inception of COGG. So it's a really great one to kind of catch up on news and stuff. I like to do a little shout out sometimes. I'll do some more things too as we go through. But GDEX is going to be at MatsuruCon this year. So if you are interested in showcasing a game at a convention, we have paired up with MatsuruCon. That is August 11th through the 13th at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. So especially if you were a exhibitor at GDEX this year, which was in June, which if you're not familiar with that, that's our big game expo that we help to host every year. And this year, again, we were with Origins, so that was a lot of fun. It was really great to see everybody in person and get to connect. So this MatsuruCon is one we always try to do with them because they're a great partner as well. And they are is to my understanding in years past, they usually just give us a room. So if you're interested in presenting there, let us know, and I can give you more information. You can message me on the YouTube channel, or you can let me know in the Discord channel as well. We also have an email, which I will post in the chat, so I wonder if it'll let me do that. Sometimes they are a little bit more specific about like emails, but I don't care. It goes to big thing. So info@thecog.com is another way to reach us. So if you ever have any questions at any time, just please email us. It goes to me as well as anybody else on that email, and we can help you out. So let me just kind of scan back on some of the messages. Hi, I'm definitely interested in Discord. I'm glad you discovered you guys. Yeah, cool. Welcome, Patrick. I'm glad you could join us. We got a lot of new folks. If you're new, let us know in the chat channel. We want to get to know you and help you out in any way, or if you just want to chill and connect, it's a great way to do that. And then you said, now is this video games, or do you also work on card, board games, tabletop? Yes, we also do tabletop cards and whatnot. We actually, at our prototype and play for this month, we had someone bring in their card game for prototyping. So if you're interested in showcasing your tabletop games, please let us know. We are moving in that realm a bit more, thanks to Origins and thanks to a lot of connections through our communities. And so we want to help because card and board games, tabletop games especially, are really great in showcasing design. And a lot of our games have even evolved from a tabletop game to a digital game. And so, like, getting more of those types of presentations and sharing information is really important for us. So yes, if you have tabletop games, please share them with us, and we'd be happy to kind of move in there. And actually, brings up a good point. Maybe in Discord we can have a tabletop channel for you all. So that'd be a great one to add too. And so in Discord, we're always trying to evolve those. I actually have one of our admins, Tony, which you might see in the Discord channel. He's actually helping to moderate the Discord a bit more, just kind of helping me out, adding in some new channels and whatnot. And I'll show a little bit of that here in just a little bit. But if you have suggestions, let us know, and we can add those things either through, you can talk to us today, or you can message in our general channel, in our COGG Discord channel, and we'd be happy to kind of see if we can make some changes. So we're here to make that. So let's see. Yeah, have to pal. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So that's another good one. Is Turrets, Views, and Reviews has mentioned that there's Torgs coming up in November. That's another good convention to talk about. I haven't advertised that too much because it's a little bit further in the future, but yes, definitely Korgs is another really good game convention. So definitely check them out. Cool. All right. Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. So we've got our online information here. So thecogg.com is a great way to get all our information. It's our main landing page. You can get into our Discord, you can get into our Meetup page, our Facebook page, all that good stuff right there on the front page. So I'll show that here in a little bit. Let me see if I can move on. All right, so we have over 2,100 members on Meetup. We've been around for a while. We got a growing number on Discord. So I guess basically these are numbers. These are kind of more like I don't know what you call like publisher numbers. Like they're good numbers, right? But what they mean is that if you the hope is that if you join our group, we have a lot of folks that may have some information to help you out, right? We do have a lot of folks always like chiming in from time to time to help folks out. So, and I really appreciate everybody, collaborating together and just kind of sharing ideas. I see this all the time. I may not always be as involved. I know Tony's usually in there kind of chatting with you guys, but I would say like humbly, you guys are some of the most amazing groups to be able to be a part of because you guys all do amazing feedback and support and help and information in our group and especially in our Discord, and just continue the great work. And if you have any questions at all, we have a great community that hopefully can at least give you a step in the right direction. So we're continuing to do online efforts as well as in-person efforts. So we're growing both our online and in-person this year especially. So you might see stuff kind of going back and forth and kind of showcasing a multitude of different events that way. And so the best way to figure out what those are is just go to our Meetup page. Like I said, is the meetup.com/the-COGG. All right. And so we have a couple new things, which I'll show here in just a sec. But if you go to our website /games or our website /news, you'll see a couple new sections. So games are the COGG games. I've actually got two I need to get to, so I apologize for the folks that have added those recently. I do need to put two more games up. But if you also have news, you can go to that page too. And they both have a Google form that you basically fill out. It's like, I think, a quick 3 or maybe 4 question survey. Just what's your topic about? If you can send us an image and a short description, maybe a link. We'll post that up as a card or a event blog note, and we'll share that, right? And we share this throughout everything, whether it's online or during conventions. So definitely let us know how we can help you. This is our way to kind of help advertise. And just as well, if you have something coming up, like you're releasing a game or you're promoting a game or you just want to see something, you know, you know that is a really good event coming up, let us know. We try to share those through all our social media and let people know about it. And so just keep us posted. If we can help you, let us know. We'll try to do our best to help you out. Um, so yeah, and well, as we mentioned before, I mean, this is kind of old news now, but yeah, we always have a lot of really good events at our event page. The cogg.com/events just goes to our meetup page at this point, and we should be good to go. Let me see if I got more stuff. Okay, cool. So we got a lot of really good presentations today. So we got our COGG announcements, and then we've got Branson, who's presenting on retro art styles in the modern era. They are actually a exhibitor at GDEX, which is really cool. So we'll talk a little bit about their game. Shield's got a new game in mind for the Stornicorn game, a third Stonicorn game. And then Darius is going to be talking about Game Boy level design. And then I think we got Brian coming in with shaders and Godot. So we should have a really good lineup today. Yeah, he's online. Cool. So definitely looking forward to that. And we're going to be going through these quickly. But yeah, definitely, like, if you guys need to take a break, go to the bathroom or whatever, feel free to do so. We're going to have this recorded for people to see later. I know it's going to be a long session, so don't hold up on us, but definitely please stay as long as you can, and just see some really cool events. And use the YouTube chat channel if you have questions or comments, and I'll try to shout them out and let people know about them. And then usually what I tell people at the end of the event, if you're still around and interested, we'll stay on for a little bit longer. We usually jump in our Discord channel. There is there is a voice channel section in Discord, and I usually just jump in the one that says general, and I'll actually copy that. And we jump in there and just kind of catch up with folks to see how people are doing, just a casual chat for like a half hour or so, however long people want to do. And then if you have questions for presenters, if they happen to be able to stop by, or if you have questions for me about COGG or whatever, it's a great way to do that. So after COGG event, join us in the general voice channel. There you go. And then I usually do a question of the month for an icebreaker, and this month is It's Hot. So what's the coolest game dev or game you've ever made or experienced? So that's kind of what I'll ask for today. So let me kind of showcase a couple of things coming up, and then we'll get underway for presentations. So let me jump out of here. So this is our meetup page. This is our website. I'll put that in the chat too. And this is a great way to kind of see everything. So I definitely would say start at the COGG.com, and you'll find everything I'm talking about today. You'll find a little bit about more of our group, our team, our code of conduct, contact information. And the events page, again, just goes to our meetup page right here. And the news page is actually where we showcase a lot of really good news articles. I actually need to update this a bit. I've actually seen a lot of you do news article subscriptions, which if you're on the front page, I think is down here. Yeah, well, this is volunteer and then newsletter. We are going to be working on some volunteer stuff. I know I've been saying that for a while. I just haven't had a chance to coordinate that. But if you're interested in helping us out with events, either online or in person, let us know. I've got a list right now, and both of these I do have to get back to. So apologize for those who have been waiting. I'm still looking to get to those. And then we're looking to get a newsletter up just to kind of showcase and streamline our news section. So those are both coming up very soon. Resources are a great way to kind of just learn some new things. So if there's some websites, some helpful links or whatever. And then our COD games are a great way to showcase what you guys are working on. Like I said, I've got two I've got here to use for those. and I basically just post them up and put them in front of this template one. So as we start to mark these, they start to come in one at a time and just start to push towards the bottom. But at any given time, if you have something up here and you want to update it, just email me at the info@thecog.com and I can update them, whether it's like a link or some messaging or the image or whatever. I can do those pretty quickly. And then to be able to sign up for those, you can either click the red here button, and that'll take you to a Google Doc, or excuse me, a Google form, and you fill out these simple questions. Or you can go to the news, and it's the same thing, just for a news section. So feel free to click on those, and then once we get those, we kind of check those up about once a week, and then we start to put them up. I then email you back and make sure it looks okay, and then it should be good to go. And then the last thing is our social media. So our Meetup page, Facebook, Twitter page, YouTube that you're here right now, and our Discord. So definitely check those out. It's a great way to kind of see more information. Uh, so again, this is our Facebook page. They have a lot of good information here, lots of good messagings. This is Game Arena, which is where we were again earlier this month with the Prototype and Play event. They're a great venue for esports, but they have also been welcoming us every 3 months to have an event there. The one thing I wanted to note today is that the Tech Community Coalition is actually helping to sponsor a really big event called Summerfest. If you get a chance to today, this will still be going on after this event till 9 p.m. It's free. They have food trucks, music, beverages, all kinds of good stuff. They're sponsoring a lot of really cool like live music, some really cool tech groups. Like I know a couple of these DebFest. Um, they've got Color Coded Labs, the Tech Elevator, Tech Life Columbus. Really good events, and they actually helped to sponsor us there too. So apparently I was talking to the guys like, yeah, you guys are up there somewhere. I'm like, oh, cool. So definitely stop by if you can. It's a great way to kind of meet our tech community in Columbus and have some fun with some beverages, foods, and music. So I put that in the chat channel. Here's the information about MatsuriCon. So we know that's coming up this month, August 11th through the 13th. And that, again, that's at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. And then someone mentioned to me before, there's not this coming month, not August, but the month after September. Um, Cleveland Gaming Classics is coming up. That's a really big one I hear a lot of you talking about. I'll mention this again in August. It's a little early to promote. Sorry, my mic just turned off. Okay, it's a little early to promote it yet, but it will be September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. 22nd is more of a preview party, but definitely jump in if you can. The main ones are the 23rd and 24th. And yeah, check them out. They're a pretty cool event. They had a really good showing last year, so I'm excited to go there this year. And I think, honestly, I think that kind of wraps it up. Um, so I would say I think that's mostly what we have for today. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we've actually, perfect timing, 1:30. So I'm going to invite our first presenter today. So if I show that, it's Branson who's going to showcase on retro art styles in the modern era. And I'll go ahead and bring him over right now. So let me kind of switch over. And I'll bring them out. So while you're going through that, I'll kind of keep an eye on the chat channel if you guys have any questions or anything. So, and part of me, I'm working on a tiny screen. Let me see if I got the right one. Da, 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 da. Oh, there we go. Hey yo, let me go ahead and you guys don't see this, but I'm gonna switch over. Cool. All right, let me go ahead and go back, see if we can see this on the live streams.
Mm-hmm.
Might just take a sec because that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, cool. I think we're good. So,
We're all good? All right,
Yep, and
cool.
I got your mic going. I've got your audio going, so I think we're good to go. Let us know in the chat if you guys see anything funny, hear anything funny, smell anything funny, and we'll do our best to fix it. So, cool. Uh, yeah. So this is Branson. What I'll go ahead and do is if you can just introduce yourself, what you've been working on, what your background is, and then we'll jump into your presentation.
Perfect. All right, cool. Thank you, Wes. So hi, I'm Branson Mariola. I'm a recent, I can't say that anymore. It's been a year. I am a indie dev from Northeast Ohio, a recent graduate of Kent State University, and I've been working on a 3D collectathon platformer based around late 90s games. So today I'm kind of going to talk about the creation of the game and the art style that we've kind of come accustomed to in the past year and a half of development. All right. And I'm all good to start going through everything for us?
Yep, let me go ahead and switch over to the stream, and
Cool.
yep, you should be good to go.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about the retro art style that I created for QB Botanical Breakout and how that kind of works in the modern era. So you would kind of think that like making retro like art styles and characters and assets would be easy because they're just low poly and it's just like low quality textures and stuff, but there's a lot of nuance to it, and over the past year and a half I've learned so much, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. First of all, I want to say thank you to Wes and COGG for having me. I'm very grateful that you invited us here. I wish the rest of my group could be here, but we're all busy today. Oh, look at that, that's fun.
Little emos.
And I'm really happy to be here and to be able to show this off and kind of get you guys all involved with what we've been working on. So let's talk a little bit about who I am. So, like I said before, I'm Branson Mariola. I graduated from Kent State last year, and I've been working with my group Find Spot Interactive on a 3D collectathon platformer called QB Botanical Breakout. We've been developing this for about a year and a half now, and it's been quite the journey, going from being in school for 5 years to suddenly just being thrown right into game development. It was pretty smooth, but there's been some hiccups along the way, and I've been really grateful for all the opportunities that has presented me. At Kent State, I was part of the animation and game design program, which was really awesome. We have some really good professors and some great content there that really brought me to where I am now. QB actually started as a capstone project with our professor Chris Totten, and it was just such an amazing group of people that I got to work with, and I'm still working with them today. We've had so many great opportunities. We got to go to GDEX. We had a showcase at Kent State, and we've been to GDEX again. And in, I think it's November, we're going to Wisconsin, not particularly just to show off our game, but we will be showing it off there. And we're going to be at Cleveland Gaming Classic in September.
Yeah, I keep
Um,
forgetting to note that yeah, Kent State's been like killing it for sure in terms of their game development offerings for their college. So definitely check them out. They had a lot of different, not just I mean, was it uh, your professor? Is it Todd? Was it Todd?
Yeah, we have Chris Totten.
Chris Totten. Yes.
He's our main he's one of the heads of the major. So he
Yeah.
leads a lot of the stuff, and
He
he's always at events all the time.
he was showcasing games. We had you guys showcasing games. There's a couple other
Mm.
Kent State folks. So yeah, definitely check them out. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening over in
Yeah,
that area.
it's nice to have professors who are so versed in the convention space because it was really easy to transfer from our showcase at Kent State to GDEX. And we also have a Kent State booth every year at GDEX where students can show off what they've worked on, whether it's game jam games or capstone games. We have a game prototyping class that's led by Chris Totten, and he gives students limits on like what console they can make a game for, and they have to work around the limitations of it. It's very interesting. I actually never got to take that. I'm a little jealous. It seems really cool. But back to QB and stuff. It really forced me when we were working on this to learn so much about how development worked in the 90s and how game developers were challenged back then to do this because, back in the day, if you wanted to make a texture, that was a completely foreign concept for some developers because they were making sprite work by hand, drawing it or using a program. But now they had to create something basically from scratch. Um, and we've gone through so many changes with our game. If you look at, I have a link at the end of this, but if you check out our itch page, you can look at our devlog. And if you look at even where we were 6 months ago or 8 months ago, the game looks completely different because we're always learning new
Yeah,
techniques on how.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
I found your itch.io page and I posted
Mhm.
that. I didn't post the dev blog one, but yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, so I was like, yeah, get that whipped up real quick.
Yeah, yeah. It's the devlog can be found. I think it's at the bottom of the itch page. I don't
Yeah.
particularly remember, but if you're really interested in seeing how development can change and like what we've learned over time, should definitely look at our first like 10 devlogs. It's a little different. Um, and the guiding philosophy for most of this game was to remake it the way that people remember, not the way that it was. I think that's something that our professor also taught us.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in this, I'm kind of going to talk about the creation of assets, and we're just going to do like very surface level stuff. Um, and if needed, maybe next month I might do a demo of everything. But I do have some information here and step by step stuff, so I think we'll get right into that. So let's jump in. Oh, I love this.
Hey, that's cool.
It's so hard to find just like a gif of Mario jumping, but I mean, backwards long jumping was simple, I guess. All right, so textures. Back in the 90s, these textures didn't just come from nowhere. Sometimes studios would have people that just, Photoshop was around, so they would open up Photoshop. I think it was one of the first years of its existence, and you could open it up and draw something, or maybe draw it on paper and scan it in. But the majority of textures for the N64 and PS1 were done using photo libraries, photo disks, and pre-installed libraries, which you can see in the bottom left of the screen here. Um, and the modern equivalent of that, for me at least, is Unsplash. If you don't know what Unsplash is, it is a mostly free to use photo library. Almost everything on there is under the Creative Commons license, which means that sometimes you don't even have to give credit to it. You can just use the photos. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration and sometimes just my textures from. Um, and back in the day, there was a whole process where you would go through these thousands of photos on these discs, and they're actually available. If you scan the QR code on here, you can. It'll link you to a YouTube video where a YouTuber found some of those old discs, and I think they're linked in the description. And I don't know if they're free to use, but they're definitely great for inspiration to see that process. Um, so yeah, Unsplash is like the perfect new era like photo disc or like photo images library for modern era. The only difference is it's all photos. Sometimes they had custom stuff on the old discs here. Um, so after you would find an image that you liked or a picture that you would like, you'd go through this whole process. So let's say you had this image here, and bam, you can make it look like this and bring it into the game. This is actually a real texture we use in the game. I have a picture of it here. There it is. Um,
Oh,
so
cool.
this is a yeah, right. So this is a real process, and this is I'm the texture art lead for our group, which is kind of an impromptu thing because we started needing a lot of textures all of a sudden. I was like, oh, whoa, okay, well I got to go do that. I got to go work on that. Um, so I kind of had to learn backwards how this would all work. So let's kind of go through the process of making something like this. So how do you go from this to this? So back in the day, you're working with hardware that's developed in the mid 1990s and then released in the late 1990s. So it's not entirely, let's say it's not very powerful. It's a little bit more powerful than a calculator, but not as powerful as your phone. Not even close. So these consoles had a really hard time with larger texture sizes or image sizes. So the N64, if I'm not mistaken, used 64 by 64 or 128 by 128 pixels for their texture sizes, which, like, if you really want to know what that looks like, it's like let's say about that big. It's
Super
super
tiny.
super small,
Which is very,
super
very
tiny.
tiny on my screen because nowadays most people
Uh,
have at least 1080p.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So like it is extremely small. So working with a texture size of 64 by 64, 128 by 128, or 256 by 256 is very very limiting. It definitely takes a while to get used to drawing on something that small. But the process is here. So you have the really small texture sizes, right? So I always make my canvas about that size. And then I find a photo I like. So I found this on Unsplash, same photo from before. Um, and then you crop it and pick which part you like the most, which sometimes could take way too long. I'm embarrassed to say that I've spent at least 30 minutes on one texture just being like, well, I don't like that part. So let's go over here. Oh, let's go over here. Yeah, let's go over here.
Yeah,
Um,
they usually call that finding the form, right? Like
yeah.
it's kind of it's dirty, but not dirty the way you want it to look dirty. Like it's not
Yes,
stained the way
exactly.
you want it.
I'm like, well, will that really? I'm like, oh, that looks great. Oh, but will it like tile correctly?
Yeah.
Oh, is it the right color? And then you get into the game later, and it always looks good. But there's always times you got to go back and redo it. One thing I did miss on here is usually if you're doing a texture like this, you would pick this small area to crop it, and then you would tile it. Which and I use GIMP because Photoshop is a little expensive, so I use GIMP currently. Um, and they actually have they have like a tiling button. So I would crop this photo to be about yay big where the square is, and then you have this image over here on the right, and then there's a tiling button. So it'll automatically make it seamless. There's also a lot of really good videos on YouTube for how to do this. Um, and from there, you would limit it and compress it. So those old consoles weren't able to show off the same range of color that um, modern day computers can. One of the easiest ways that I find to do this is to posterize it. So posterizing images is super super useful. Um, oh yeah, Krita is really good too. Krita is a
Yeah,
great
I'm
choice for.
posting some links.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's super
our
super
group uses
useful.
both. They usually use a lot more GIMP because it's got some more documentation, but I think they're both pretty good.
I love using GIMP because it's free, but if I had to pay more than like $5 for it, I would have a list of complaints.
Yes, yes.
Super useful, super useful. It's just I get a little frustrated with it sometimes, but for what I do, it works fine. So compressing your image, so that means making sure that it is a 256 by 256 or 128 by 128 square. And then posterizing it gives it a great color and adds a little bit of that grainy kind of like look to it that you like. Now, if you're doing something for like N64, you'd probably want to do some smoothing. It's kind of different. We do specifically a PS1 art style, which is crispy, crunchy, like very pixelated, even though it has bigger texture sizes. And then the next step is editing. So you go from getting your canvas size, picking this, limiting the colors, compressing it, and then you go to editing. This is just like anything else you would do with textures. So in this scenario, I was making a metal grate. So what I did was I changed the colors around. I made like I like erased all of these holes in it, and then I added a little bit of just grunge to it. And then if you see in the final one, which I can't see because my monitor's in front of it, there it is. All right, cool. I actually added some shadows and highlights because if you're familiar enough with game development, you'll know that like part of the process of making textures is the metalness, the roughness, and the normal maps. But in this scenario, you can't use that because those didn't exist, or they existed back then, but your PS1, your N64 couldn't run that. There's a couple ways to get around it, but I honestly just like drawing in a lot of my little finer details like that. So if you'll see in that final one, it almost looks like there is like a hole there and it has like depth to it. It's just me drawing in shadows, highlights, and like grunge on there. Um, it's super useful. I actually really like using Substance Painter, so it's been really hard for me to transition to using just GIMP for a lot of our textures. But with the way our development has been going, we don't really make models too much anymore that we then bring into the levels. We have geometry that we add texture to. So it's been a whole different process, but it's really, really, really nice. It's really easy to just make a texture and drop it onto a plane, and like, oh, there's the floor of the level, perfect. And then you just import it into the game. There's
Yeah,
a lot more that goes along with it,
I
right?
think that's a lot. So sometimes people, especially during game jams, which are like a 48-hour type of event that's very short amount of time, are like, I can't make any 3D assets in my game because that seems too complex. It's like, well, it
Mhm.
depends on what you're doing. A cube or a plane or whatever, you can make those all day and create a pretty decent looking level, especially with a lot of the tools that are even free for people to use nowadays. So it's much more approachable than even when I was in college. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm learning that now after being in school for so long. I always was taught high definition textures, or like you have to have like really high poly, not high poly models, but like decently good high poly models or mid poly models, and you have to do the texturing through Substance Painter, or you could do it in Photoshop. But I never imagined that I would be able to make a cube, or my level designer usually does it. So he'll make a cube, and then I come in like a month or like a week later, and we have a whole level, and I'm like, oh, I got to make textures for that, and he's drag and drop them right onto there, make them look real good. um, like I said, development has just been so interesting. I've learned so much from it, and this is just one benefit from that. um, so further from this, I also do a lot of modeling for our game. um, and this is just kind of a quick overview on that too. Modeling is also completely different nowadays. I'm sure you could tell if you've ever seen one of these wireframe views of a character, that it's completely different from how it is nowadays. Like seriously, like the amount of triangles and polygons that make up like the entirety of Banjo Kazooie is in one character in like Horizon Zero Dawn. It's insane. Just like what we're able to do nowadays. So this is just some quick guidelines that I usually use for my characters and for my team on here. So with modeling, you really have to limit your polygon count. For characters, I try to keep it under 3,000 tries. You're able to go over even on the PS1. They did sometimes, but it's crazy. There's some Final Fantasy monsters that were like 2,000 tries, which, if you're wondering, is like the amount you would usually have for like your entire map. Um, Objects, I usually try to keep under 300. I try to keep them under 100, but sometimes if they're really big or really important, you have to go over. And like I said before, when you're making a game like this, you remake the game the way people remember it, not the way it really was. So as long as it looks like a PS1 game, it kind of has that feeling. You can cheat a little bit. Sometimes it's worth it. Here on the bottom, you can see Crash Bandicoot, Leon Kennedy, and isn't that? Oh, I forget his name. He's from Final Fantasy, the one with the gun sword. I can't remember which one that is. Squall, that's his name.
A Squall, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Final
yeah,
Fantasy. Yep.
yes. So these guys, I mean, they're all under 1,000 tries. Which, if you're making an asset for a modern game, you might make a lamp that has 1,000 tries. So it's very interesting to see how different it is here.
Well,
As yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, working with a multitude of different modeling techniques and seeing how much. I mean, basically, our machines can now like support this both from the player end and the developer end. So there tends to be a lot more polygons. But what I will definitely say is you will always want to make sure that you're still having, creating a simple model that's easy to manipulate, because there are a lot of processes, especially in 3D modeling, that can get complex. Not saying that they always are. Um, and so, like, having a good foundation, even in these models, pretty simple. Like, if you need to adjust the feet, it's a matter of just making sure that you've got the selection of faces that you can select at the bottom there, and that they're not like thousands of polygons. If you don't need to, you get away with a lot of stuff. Uh, and I will say that these older games were like magicians at figuring this stuff out. And so learning from older games has actually been very beneficial, I think, because it's like, man, if they got away with that, then I can I can do a lot more to clean up my assets or whatnot. So it's really neat
Mm.
to look back on older games and see what they've done.
Yeah, it's a great lesson. It really is. I have learned so many things, and my modeling practices have only gotten better from learning and looking at these older games. And you're right. Like if you go to a studio or even if you're working on an indie game and you're submitting super high poly, ridiculous models, it's not really going to work out too well unless you're making like Call of Duty 7 or something. If you're making something like that. It's super it's been just so interesting and such a great journey to learn about this stuff. And like I remember my roommate was playing Ocarina of Time recently, and I was just like in awe of like I was like, oh, look what they did there. Oh, look what they did there. Just like using less than 10 polygons to do something, and I'm like, I would have used 40. So now I can learn from that and kind of reduce my count. And then when I'm working in stuff in the modern era, on like modern projects that are high poly, I can learn from that too. So it's been very, very interesting. So here's kind of what I was talking about. A modern character in a game probably is 10,000 tries minimum, depending on the game, of course. Your quaint little like nice indie games with like cute art styles are probably not as much, or like a Nintendo game or something made to run on like not as powerful hardware. But like I said, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely more than 7,000 polygon or tries, and that's how much this entire map was back in Spyro's. Back in this is the first Spyro game. It's really interesting to see that like this is what they did.
I remember this
I
map. It's really cool.
Yeah, this is from, and if you guys are interested in looking some of this stuff, this has been one of the best websites I've ever used. It's called The Modeler's Resource, and NoClip.website as well. NoClip.website pulls maps from games as far back as the N64 and PS1 to like modern games. And they throw them onto a website where you can like fly around and look at them. It has been so useful, invaluable even to learn from those websites. That's where, and then no, or not no clip. The Modeler's Resource is a website where people rip models, textures, maps, and just throw them online for you to download. So this is actually available right now. It opens in most 3D modeling programs. Um, so useful in learning how they do textures and everything. It has just been invaluable to have these resources available to us, which is so nice because when you're trying to do a Google search for how do I make a fire hydrant low poly, or how do I make a tree low poly, and then you find the modeler's resource where, oh, Elmo's World on the N64 had a tree that I could look at for inspiration. It's That's actually where the trees from our game. That's an actual real
That's
story. I was
hilarious.
trying to make a tree for like an hour, and I was like, this doesn't look right. So I go to Modeler's Resource. I found Elmo's World. I'm like, oh, perfect. They had cool trees. Those look nice. They're on the N64. That should work. Um, and there's more that goes into working on stuff like this. If you scan this QR code here, I'll leave it on screen for a while so you guys can scan it if you want. You can find the exact renderer that we're using for QB. It is super versatile, super useful, and it's free to use. I think that the person who made it, this leads to a GitHub page. Um, if you go to their page, it tells you what you need to do as far as usage rights. But I think that they just want to be credited if you use it. So useful. And I think that's all I have for my slideshow here. But I do have the game open so we could fly around and look at some stuff. And I'm also going to look over the chat really quick and see if there's anything that we needed to comment on over here. I have it on my phone, so you see, look, you guys can see yourself. Ooh.
I'm gonna post that QR code
Mhm.
link. I
Thank
haven't
you.
seen anything quite yet, but I've also seen a lot of really good like information too.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, a lot of folks in our group are really into the retro style games, both
Mhm.
2D and 3D. I posted in the chat the no clip resource that you talked about,
Yeah.
and the modelers resource. So those are in there. Uh, yeah.
They're super, super helpful. I mean, like, I seriously don't think I would know as much as I do now without both of those websites. They are awesome. I sometimes, it sounds ridiculous, but sometimes for fun, I just jump in there and
Yeah.
I'll just start looking around. I'm like, oh, what can we find today? I mean, they have things as far back as, like I said, the N64. I grew up on the GameCube, so it's really fun for me. Like the other day, we're working on a rooftop, our like final level for our game. Um, and it's based on the rooftops of the city that you're in. I actually have it open. Let me share that really quick. Oh, perfect. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, this will be interesting because I need to see my screen. I'll move you guys over here. Perfect. We're working on this like rooftops levels for our game, and I'm like, oh yeah, have you guys ever seen Rainbow Road and Mario Kart Double Dash? And they're like, what? So I like go into there, and you can fly around with like a camera just like this. And then you can just take a screenshot and show them what you're working with. Let me open one of our levels, and I can show you guys that specific texture that I had. I can show you that. Let's see. That should be good. As long as we don't take about 35 minutes to open this, we'll
Well,
be good.
yeah, so the engine that he's using right now is called Unreal, and it can be
Mhm.
definitely a bit resource intensive.
Yeah,
So,
we games of this nature, of this art style specifically, are often made in Unity, but most of us in our group were really comfortable with Unreal. So, and I have that spiel ready because every time we tell someone we're making this game in Unreal, they say, "Okay, but why?" Because Unity just has, um, I'll say it has a better asset library, better community for this type of game specifically. Games like the only Unreal Engine platformer I can really think of off the top of my head, 3D platformer, is Ukulele, which isn't exactly high praise, but
you
let me see if I can
I
pull this
like
up.
ukulele.
I do too. I know the general consensus about ukulele isn't great, but I
Yeah.
don't know, I really liked it. I liked it for like most of the game. So in here, let's see if I can show you guys what we're working with. So you can see here that like this just looks like a texture. It doesn't look that interesting, but when you jump in, let me just change this really quick. Current camera position, perfect. I think I have music too, but we don't need to hear that. So our renderer really brings everything together here. You can see how
Yeah, that's
much,
cool.
yeah, how much this changes just from being in engine versus just the viewport. Um, so yeah, I really enjoy that. And our programmer actually just added a new setting recently where you can play with the N64
64.
style.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it still needs a little bit of work, but yeah, it's really smooth now. It's that was really interesting too. We're trying to like learn more about that right now and how to make it look even more accurate. Um,
Ah, that's
Go back and
cool.
change that real quick. Thank you. Yeah, that was something we talked about at one point, and then we had a meeting, and our programmer was like, "Hey, what if I just added it?" And I was like, "Go for it." And then the next week, he's like, "Okay, it's in the game now." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." It's fun to show off at conventions because when
Yeah.
people know that, they get really excited. People who are familiar with these types of things. I'm thinking either next month or the month after, I might do a little gameplay showcase here to
Yeah.
show you guys what we have going on. We have
So,
3 levels, and this demo is currently available too if anybody wants to download it for free.
yeah, I was gonna say I put the itch.io page on there. Um,
Mhm.
and then if you have any other links you want me to showcase, we can do that. I would say since we're getting to the point where we're gonna need to wrap up, but is there
Mhm.
like let us know like where your progress is, like where you guys going in the future, like what's your next steps, and what are things that
Mhm.
we can look forward to?
So currently we just have 3 levels available. Three, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 levels. The hub, the docks, and the sewers, which is where we are now. Um, we've been in development for about a year and a half now. So we're hoping that by the end of, I forgot I have to go talk to someone in the game. Let's see. I'm hoping that by the end of this year or the middle of next year, we'll be completely done. We should have one more update coming out before the end of the year where we're adding the rooftops level.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I think we're starting design on that right now. We have another meeting Wednesday where we're going to start doing like gray boxing and level sketches. So hopefully in the next couple months, I would say by December, we should have that close to finished. So look out for that. We do devlogs on our itch page. So if you want to check out anything that we're working on, it's all on there. Um, and this, like I said, this is free, so you're able to go and download this right now and play through it. Um, oh, thank you. I think someone's talking about the game. Thank you. um, yeah, so that's what you have to look forward to. We got a couple more updates coming out. We're probably only going to do one more free update, which will be the next one that we do. Um, and then after that, we'll probably be close to releasing the game. And it's on PC now. Hopefully, in the future, we'll be able to get it to Switch and PlayStation and Xbox, but it's kind of far down the line. We are just four indie devs with a shoestring budget. So, yeah, that's how I describe us. So, like, what's your group dynamic? I'm like, well, we're four postgraduates with a shoestring budget. So, we'll also be at Cleveland Gaming Classic
Cool.
in September. So if you guys want to come by and see our booth, it'll be me and my roommate actually running the booth. And we'll have stickers available. We might do a raffle. We did one at GDEX, and you could win like stickers and a picture on our Instagram page. And you also get a shirt. So yeah, look out for us at conventions coming up. I'll also be at MDev. If anyone in here is going to be in Wisconsin, or is that Wisconsin? Yeah, Madison, Wisconsin in
That's cool.
November. Yeah, we met some people at GDEX and they invited us, and I'm like, yes, I would love to go to Wisconsin. I've heard you guys have cheese, and that's game developers, I guess. That's okay. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
We've got a couple of folks that have reached back out to us, or actually I think one of them went to GDEX. So there's a
Mhm.
big scene over there that I was not aware of until like this year and last year.
Yeah, same here. I was very surprised to see that.
Yeah. So they're
So
more
yeah,
more than just their own cheese.
yeah, exactly. More than just cheese, they got game developers now.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for showing this. We're excited to like see the progress, and then like you said, maybe in the future we can do a deeper dive of this demo.
Mhm.
I will if I think I might have it on the COG website, but if I don't, I'll reach back out to you, get it up there. But yeah, try it out. Check out their itch page and let us know what you think. Give them feedback and support them. So if you got anything else that you want to showcase, let us know. Otherwise, we'll keep in touch and see its finish very soon. So cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to continue working with you guys and to see what everybody else has queued up for today.
All
Thank you so
right.
much for inviting me.
Thanks. We'll catch you later. I'm going to bring in our next folks, so I'm going to switch on over.
Thank you.
And let's see. It's like I've got this tiny window, so takes a sec. All right. Got shield. Close that up. We got you online. All right. Let us know
How's it
if
going,
you guys
everyone?
see us. I think you should. I mean, I'm waiting for the stream to catch up, but I see everything here. So, but yeah. Let me make sure I'm
I
not
can turn my
missing
camera on.
anything in the chat channel. Oh, man, you guys are really rocking away.
Oh, that's the wrong camera.
Is that the right camera?
that's that's what I had for breakfast this morning.
Okay. Our presenter today is Shield, and in IRL, he's a box of Cheerios. Not sponsored. Um, yeah. So yeah. I love talking to you, Shield. You're a well-renowned member of our community and game developer, artist, musician, extraordinaire, designer. So without me going
Musician?
too far,
Wow.
talk a little bit about yourself, and then also talk about what you're working on today and showcasing today.
Yeah, so I've been here for a while, and I'm most known for my game Stone Accord. And that is a passion project of mine I've been working on for like over 7 years. Um, but I do mostly programming, but I also dabble in art and story, and uh, I just really like making games with interesting mechanics, and that's like the whole idea for Sonocorn. Um, and the game that I'm showing off today is the third uh, game that I'm making in the Sonocorn series. Well, uh, because I have like so many ideas, like I move between different ideas here and there. And so the first game is a 2D platform. The second game is a world building simulation, and this third game is a Minesweeper clone. When I was in high school, Minesweeper was my procrastination tool of choice, and I spent lots of hours playing Minesweeper. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make a game that kind of solves the problems with Minesweeper. And one of the biggest issues with Minesweeper is there's well, I'll talk about it later in there. Basically, it's a Minesweeper clone because I like Minesweeper, but it's also a has a lot of different design choices that are specific to this particular game.
That's great. Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry.
yes,
Go ahead.
so were you able to download the build?
Yes. Do you want me to run it now?
Yes.
So we're gonna be doing this live. This is kind of like a hot seat pants kind of scenario. It was funny because I think it popped up on our screen for a sec. Uh, so while that's running, let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna try to do. Does it have audio?
No audio, no.
Okay, then what I might do is, you know what? I think I still need to do application because I don't want it to be over top of our screen. Oh,
Yeah.
I have Nitro, so I can like, we'll see how it goes. I can get probably really good quality. All right.
All right.
So I'm gonna be keeping a chat on, or an update on the chat on my phone. So bear with us while we kind of move through that. But let me see.
So the basically like these in the Stonecorn lore, the unicorns are expanding through the galaxy by creating new planets instead of colonizing existing ones. And sometimes when these planets lose connection with the Empire, they don't know what happens to them. So they send this guy out to investigate and inspect the planets to see if why did they lose contact, and B, um, are they salvageable? Sometimes like their antenna gets destroyed by an asteroid, so they're just out of communication for a little bit. Sometimes worse things happen, and in this particular case, in this particular version of the game, the it's been overrun by uh, an unknown force, and you're here to inspect the planet
Cool.
and get out alive.
And I was gonna say, like, based on your previous game, this reticle is very, very reminiscent of your previous unicorn games. It seems like. So yeah,
Oh
talk to
yes,
us
the
a bit
teleport
about it. Like,
range.
what's
All right.
the mechanics kind of like?
So you click to move and you click to reveal tiles. So if you're familiar with Minesweeper, you click on a tile to reveal it, and you right click a tile to flag it. And
Oh,
flagging means that you can't click it again. And you flag a tile to say, this is a mine, I don't want to click it. And it's very useful to do that. You're not required to flag anything, but most oftentimes I play Minesweeper, I do. But the thing is that it requires a right click, and it's very easy to accidentally click the wrong things. So in this game, I decided to make it that you only click to reveal, and then the character automatically flags when it can.
okay. So right
So
click is flag.
no, left click is reveal, and then your character automatically flags when all the tiles around a square are revealed, and only the mines are left. So when you reveal all the right tiles, it'll automatically flag the mines for you.
And the yellow number is the flag. Is that right?
The yellow number indicates how many mines are around that square.
Gotcha.
So if it's
Uh,
zero, if there's yes,
I was gonna say that.
it,
Now I will preface this with, I'm probably really bad at Minesweeper. So if you're going in here like, why'd you do that? It's because I'm I'm not as in tuned as most folks, but I can almost assume like this. Wait. Oh. So that revealed that now one of these could be a mine, right?
yes, one of those is a
Okay.
mine.
Then I probably will. Oh. I thought that was safe for a sec. Oh man. I'm getting close to one and I don't know which one. Well, let me just kind of chisel in from the outside. Okay, this has got to be good.
Oh yeah, this is like what it was, what do you call it? A pop quiz for Minesweeper skills.
Oh my gosh. Uh.
So yes, if there's uh,
Ooh.
so you're doing great so far, Wes. You haven't hit a single mine yet.
Well, this one said two at first, and then it said no. So I'm like, oh, what are these for? The yellow and black
Oh,
warning.
that's a flag. So that's how I
Oh,
decided to choose flag. So
okay.
he's an inspector. So when he finds that something dangerous, he puts caution tape around it so people don't go in there.
Caleb's in here making fun of me. He's like, someone who plays Minesweeper, this is hard to watch. I know, I know. Bear with me. Although if you're like, hey,
Yes.
you missed that one, then yeah, because I'm sure people who have played this have a very particular like process of like dwindling down. I'm the kind of guy
Mhm.
like that just goes in and just plays. Like I probably did a really stupid move by doing that really quickly. But my assumption is that's fine. Like this is looking. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Um. Oh no 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 no. Okay.
You're doing great so far.
Yeah, it seems like it, but then. Okay.
So there's a couple of other differences between this game and regular Minesweeper. In regular Minesweeper, when you click on an empty space that has no mines around it, it automatically reveals
Oops.
tiles until it gets to the edge of where the mines are.
Okay.
And in this game, I decided not to do that
Gotcha.
because this game is, in addition to being a Minesweeper clone, is also like half horror game, and I feel like uh,
That's
that
great.
having to reveal each of these zero squares yourself like adds to that feeling a little bit.
See, this is where I get really nervous, cause like I I have no idea what to do at this point. I mean, oh, hey, I can see this. I don't know. Like that seems
So,
a really risky. This is where I just start guessing, and this is when I lose. Um.
all right,
Oh, could
take your
I like
time.
click on this tile and move all the way over? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In the current build, you can, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I haven't added
This
pathfinding
seems
yet.
somewhat safe. Oh God. This just
So,
makes me nervous.
so another important difference between this game and Minesweeper is that in Minesweeper, when you flag something, the numbers don't change, and it always
Okay.
tells you how many mines are still there. But in this game, once something is flagged, it no longer gets counted.
Oh, okay.
So some of those zeros in the top right there would still be ones in regular Minesweeper because of that flagged mine there.
Oh,
But in this
okay.
game, if it's flagged, it doesn't matter anymore. So
Okay.
it's
So, my question is if, oh, sorry, I'm like trying to get to the center here. All right. So if this is one, like that seems like there's a good possibility that's there. But it could also mean it could be this one, but it could also be this diagonal one. Is that right?
uh yeah, there's different possibilities there.
If
Yeah.
there is a zero, then all the squares around it are fine, says Caleb. So I think this is why I was never good at Minesweeper. All right, let's do. Oh, okay. Oh, that kind of helped. Um. Oh my God. Uh. Okay.
You're doing great
So
so far.
all these are fine, but these. Okay, cool. This is what I meant when I was talking to you. Like, oh, that could be fine. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. One of these. One of these. One of these.
So, yeah, it actually made the game easier after I talked to you this morning. I like made
Oh, that's
um,
cool. So that's what you mean, like it's updates. Once it flagged, like all these used to be ones. So that's fine. That's fine.
mhm.
Oh no. Uh, okay. Cool. I see. Alright, 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 alright. Cool, cool. I like that. No. Oh my goodness. I'm not doing bad, but I'm also very nervous now.
You're
Okay.
doing great.
Uh, I would have to say, okay, okay. Oh, hey, I think I did it. Yay!
You did it! All right. You inspected the first planet with no mistakes.
Cool. All right, so that's like a spaceship. Ah, okay, okay. All right.
Yep. And now it's on the next planet.
Cool. All right, so easy peasy, right? No one was nervous, just me.
Yeah.
So I would almost
So
say, does this
so
red outline change?
yes. So
Okay.
there is a problem with Minesweeper that happens quite a lot because it's randomly generated and they don't have any checks. I'm not even sure how you would check for this, but there's a possibility where there's mines placed such a way that it's a 50-50 chance that one mine is the thing, or one square is mine, or one square is safe, and you don't know which one it is, and you can't get any more information about it. And you just have to guess, and that sucks because if you spend 5 minutes playing like a Minesweeper and it comes down to 50-50 chance and you lose it, it's like what? All that time was wasted for nothing. So
Yeah.
I made another Minesweeper clone. This is my second Minesweeper clone, by the way.
Oh,
Where I
okay,
thought,
cool.
okay, if the arena wasn't a square and it was like a random shape, then that won't happen, right?
Yeah.
But I was wrong. It still happens. um, and so I was like, okay, well, what can I do to solve this besides having a cheat code where like you press a button and it automatically flags a mine for you, or something like that.
Yeah.
So because that's like yeah, it's like it's not a puzzle so much. It's just like a cheat code or whatever. It's like a band-aid solution in my opinion. So what I did in this case is you have a so all of the numbers on the grid, they tell you how many mines are in the immediate squares around it, but your character has a box around it that tells you how many mines are within 2 squares of him. So by moving him around the board, you can if you ever get into 50-50 situation, you can move him around the board and figure out which square is the mine based on what the numbers are in each of the positions.
Yeah.
Um, and it requires a little bit more um, like thought, like thinking involved. But it makes sense for the game, and also like is a oh, I guess in this game this is the teleport ring. It's a teleport ring, but it's a box.
So
But it's also like the inspecting range.
are each of these so these are flagged because they're considered mines at this point, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was the one thing I was like, oh, hey. All right. Someone was
So
saying in the chat channel, um, da, 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 what did they say? One suggestion, but I find the graphic style very pleasing. Don't change it too much if it's in a prototype stage. It has a certain old school charm to it, so they like the graphics that you have. So
all right,
I
thanks.
I think it's neat. Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
would
all
agree.
programming art right at the moment.
Yeah, programming art. Yes. I have plenty of that. Yeah, I mean prototype. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it's pretty neat. I do like. I mean, the one thing is it's very clear. Yeah. So
Yeah.
far, so good.
All right. All
Um.
right. So now in this next playthrough, I want you to accidentally, purposefully click on a mine.
Okay.
So I want to show you one of the other differences between this game and Minesweeper.
Oh, I never seen a three. That was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So move like 2 squares up.
Oh.
So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So in Minesweeper, when you click on mine, you automatically die and you lose the game.
Yeah.
In my first Minesweeper clone, you have 3 lives. So you can like click 3 mines before you die. It's live system. In this game, you don't automatically die, but that when you click a mine, you reveal a monster, and that monster chases you. Um,
That's really
and
cool.
and then if he catches you, then you die. So basically, you have to inspect the entire planet after clicking the monster, and then get back to your ship.
Okay. So, so I need to go back to my
Oh
ship.
no, you need to inspect the planet first.
Is it? So I still need to keep looking for mines, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay. Oh no. And it.
and every time you click
Oh
something, he
no.
moves.
Oh no. Oh, I have to.
Oh, he's getting close.
So if I move, oh, I see why. Oh man. Okay. This could be very. Oh no. Now I have two on me. So I
Yes.
can see why like walking over this would be feeling like if I move this way, oh, I don't even know where they are anymore. Oh no.
No, they hide.
Oh no. Oh. Oh.
Also,
Oh no.
another thing that makes it difficult is that
Like
the
three.
monsters actually trigger the detection system. So, uh,
Oh.
it messes with the numbers a bit when the monsters are near.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can. I think I'm done. Like the other thing is there's the same color as the background. So if I try to run
They
around, I
are.
don't know where they're gonna be. Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a bit of an oversight on my part, but
It's
that
kind
I
of
guess it adds
clever.
to the horror element.
Oh shoot. Okay. Let's see if I can like cheese it. Oh, I didn't want to. I don't want a fourth one on me. Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh. Okay, I'm just gonna guess. Boop boop boop. Oh man. Okay.
I think they're all like together now. Like they don't have any pathfinding, so they're like they're
I
all
mean,
together.
oh shoot.
You're almost done. You're almost done.
Oh, I have to get out of my way. Uh, uh.
Okay, get back to your
So you
ship.
could die here too, even though you got them all.
Yeah, you could.
Oh.
You made it.
Yeah.
You escaped the monsters. And oh man, so
Yeah,
that's like part of the horror element of the game. Is like if you
someone
make a
said
mistake, it just makes the game scary.
someone said oversight or working as intended, smiley face. Yeah, I agree. I think I kind of like how they're hard to see a little bit. But it'd be cool definitely to have something like something happen to know that they're really close to you, like either the screen shakes or
Oh,
like there's a burp 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 like a sound effect or something that gets closer and closer. That'd be kind of cool. Um, is that a Doctor Who game? Yes. I think someone. Ah, okay, cool. The idea for a sub game. The movement
I
of the monsters very much reminds me of an old game, Daleks. In that one, if two monsters collide, they eliminate each other. Um,
oh
yeah.
oh that's interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
I was also thinking of that taking inspiration from Pac-Man and having the monsters like move in different directions.
I think this one's fine. Yeah, okay. You know, it's kind of funny. I kind of like the automatic flags, but that's just because, I mean, it obviously becomes apparent what I should and should not click on. I do think that uh, being able to walk over the tiles that you haven't clicked on does make it quite a bit easier, especially when you're running away.
Yes.
Uh, but like maybe that could be something that happens where you can't do that later on in the game. There you
I'm
go.
actually planning on adding pathfinding, and like walls. So like you can't if a tile isn't revealed or if it's flagged, then you can't walk through it.
Oh, okay.
Um, so like in order to get into the center of the planet, you have to actually like reveal tiles all the way down. Um, and yeah, you could like get trapped in there if you reveal something. You have to run away.
Now, are all
Uh,
of these levels randomly generated, or is it like you've got specific puzzles that you're going through each
oh yeah,
new
Th-
session?
they're randomly generated.
Okay.
In the future, I might make some uh, like different randomly generated things. So like in my previous Minesweeper clone, I messed with like the random generation, so as they don't randomly place them, but it's still random generation, but it's more guided. Like I made a level where it's all walls, like vertical and horizontal, or like where all the mines are in clusters, um, and other stuff like that. So like there's like tons of options for random generation, where there's it has a different feeling to it depending on like where in the planet you are or like on what planet you're on, um, and uh, yeah, so there's
Yeah,
like different generations of. It's all going to be randomly generated pretty much.
that would be
Um,
cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely having like I could see a like I like that you have that little added like ghost chasing Pac-Man thing. Um, those little things like this is definitely the foundation of Minesweeper, but that just makes it like just that much more interesting. I like the story. I think it's a neat like wrapping of like ideas to make it kind of uh work out. But yeah, this is really cool. Like I'd be interested to see like if there's an evolving aspect of it where like maybe there's like you were saying like maybe there's some more things you can add in terms of mechanics. But um, yeah, this is really cool. Got maybe I'm gonna see if I can see how because we got a couple like another maybe 2 minutes. I see how fast I can run
yeah,
this. Or is it just
yeah. It's,
this end?
um,
Oh no, I got it.
okay, all right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm timing you.
All right.
Let's go.
Oh, this is not. Well, that was the quickest I died.
Well, that's the speed run, all right.
I was gonna say speed run to death.
You know, whenever I try to go fast, I always reveal one too.
That's
Like
really
when I was
funny.
testing today, I was like, "Oh crap, I revealed one," and then I tried to delete it from my from the scene so I could test without having to worry about it. But I forgot the way I built the game, deleting doesn't actually get rid of it.
That's funny. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. So it just stops the game. Is that right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Oh,
close and reopen it. Unfortunately.
no, that's fine.
Uh, yeah, like when you lose a game, you lose the game.
That's cool. Can't move anymore.
um,
They glued you to the ground. So, but
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
you're stuck there.
this is awesome. Is this something that people can look forward to um playing sometime someplace as a demo or
Yeah, I don't have any. It's not on itch.io. I'm gonna do some more stuff to it before I
yeah.
put it on itch.io. But when I put it on itch.io, I'll make an announcement.
Okay. Yeah, just
Uh,
let us know and we'll post it so people can play and then if you get it to a point if you're ever interested and we do like an in-person or online depending on what you're able to do prototype and play, this will be a good one to get people's feedback on. We got a lot of discussions. Like I said, some people were talking about it reminds them of a Doctor Who game. uh, will it be
yeah,
available
I can
for
see the
the
similarities.
Switch, someone asks.
I don't know, but I made some design choices for the game specifically for mobile development. So
Okay,
maybe on a mobile device.
cool. All right, well, sweet. So we'll keep you guys posted about the progress, and if you have any other questions, let us know. We'll send them over to Shield. I'd be happy to answer any of those, anytime throughout the today or the week or whatever. Thanks for showcasing this. We're excited to see where it ends
Yep.
up,
Thanks,
and
everyone.
we'll catch you at the next event. So thanks so much for coming out. Appreciate it, and
Yep.
we'll talk to you
Bye,
soon.
everyone.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next presentation. And I'm going to bring in, I'm just making sure I got everything ready. Dip, 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 dip. I've got a long list of messages. Wow, yep. So I got Darius. Let me see if I can bring him in. All right, Darius, are you online? Cool. All right, let me switch back over to our faces.
All right. I gotta turn on my face.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can if you want to. You're not obligated to. Other
And I
yourself,
gotta
folks.
turn on my
I mean,
screen.
to be honest, everybody should have like, if you don't have a camera, you should at least have um, like a VTuber, a backup avatar, right? Like a AI
Yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah. That's a good
So
idea.
I'm gonna go ahead and I've got all our screens up. But what I wanted to do is give you like a couple minutes in the intro to talk about yourself, what your name is, what your background, and what you will be presenting today.
Oh boy, I completely forgot that part. All right, I'm
Real
Darius.
quick.
I do a lot of game jams. I also do art as well, 2D and 3D. I got into this one because someone was asking about game.
Oh, see if I can get back on. Oh, fun. Well, Discord just crashed.
I did another one where it's a complete monster, and you're gonna look at the one that's complete monster.
Hey,
Can they see my
Darius, are you
screen?
still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry, my Discord crashed.
Yeah, I saw. I saw.
It was fun time. So give me 1 second to bring
Am
it
I still
back.
live?
There we go. Yeah. You're good. It's
Okay,
it's
so that's
all
good.
me.
That's
It's
good.
all me.
I'd hate to
I
have
s-
just been monologuing there.
nah. Well, okay. So we didn't catch your intro. Um,
Oh, okay.
that's when it
Oh,
crashed. You started talking, and then I was like, oh, I see this.
okay. So again, I'm Darius. I've been a part of the group for a long time, and I do a lot of random stuff. I did a hyperspace battle. I did um oh, what was that toilet one?
Oh, the
The
game
poop one
jam.
where you had to go the game jam. We had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh man,
I did that
that was
one.
funny.
I did choose your. I gotta find remember the names of these so I can plug them next time. You can see a couple of them on my itch.io page,
Are
Retro
you
Reflector. I'll
are
put the
you
link up if you
Earthshine
can.
on itch.io?
I am Retro Reflector on itch.io. I think I put the link up because under stuff I'm gonna plug.
Okay.
Um, all right. So can they see my screen?
They can now.
All right, cool. All right, so the theme was you are the monster. So I was kind of like playing with a bunch of different ideas. Um, I just kind of went through and made like an entire list of stuff I could think of, and ultimately leave it to the programmers to figure out which ones they like. So I got some stuff like where you're the Resident Evil Umbrella Corp guy, or some kind of warmonger, or assassins, things like that, or zombies. Ultimately, the one that this person liked was, and I found him on the actual page asking, looking for partners. And I like to work with teams because having a programmer is pretty neat, especially as an artist, because I don't have to do any of the stuff, and they can script all kinds of stuff that I don't even know how to script yet. So we went with he said the mirror monster idea is pretty good, so I was like, all right, let's go with that. The original idea when I was thinking of it was based off of a creature that I seen in this game called World of Monsters. Yeah, World of Horror. Does it flip? Nope. I'm gonna have to start double click the other thing.
And I'm gonna send
Yeah, this
people
game.
this game jam.
Yeah,
Uh,
send the link. I will post it when it's completed.
okay.
All right, so this kind of comes from this game World of Horror, based off this idea of this creature named Guezo. It's a monster that's like a tentacle monster that comes out of reflections, based off of the movie um, Guzu. It's
Oh,
pretty
okay.
straightforward. Regular Japanese stuff. Monster comes out of mirror and eats people. That's not super important. It's just interesting that it comes from that because I was using the idea of the psychological and spiritual and reflections as part of the experience of the horror of the game. Because I want it to be horror, but this has to also be family friendly and kid friendly, so it can't have like crazy gore like the actual source material had. So they ultimately go through and you just it's a little horror game where you run through and you grab the enemies. They can turn around and look at you, and if they spot you, you reset and go back to the beginning. Um, and he has a playable build. I wasn't able to acquire it for this jam, so you'll just have to upcoming preview catch it when it comes up. I was going based off the game World of Horror, which is really crazy. Check it out if you get a chance. It's absolutely bonkers. Um, so the first thing we did, of course, is you got to do your version control. Second thing I did, I went and gone and did my research because I have an idea of what I'm kind of going for. So I kind of grabbed game reference from all the different games that I can think of that has a good pixel art aesthetic that I like and a particular perspective.
Oh
From there
yeah.
on,
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
ask how long this game jam was or is?
This game jam is 3 months, which I have never
Okay.
seen before.
Yeah.
So we're literally like halfway through a month and a half or something.
That's cool.
So you're
Sorry to
seeing kind
interrupt.
of like in progress stuff that I was just kind of like sitting around and I was like, hey, people might actually like to see me working on this stuff. Um, so at this point, I went through and grabbed all the free assets that I could, so I can start like filling in, because then I can change things on later on. But I like to have like placeholders that I can use to just hold in place, even if it's like just straight up colored blocks as images. So I went through and did that, and I found out that the programmer had sent me this as an image of the idea of what he was looking at, kind of trying to go back and forth to figure out what are you thinking, what am I thinking. Um, so I got this, and I was like, cool, I kind of understand what you're going for. Personally, though, I would like the routes to overlap and go in different areas, and I would like it to be an actual representational place. Where this is just abstract squares, which is great, but it also is a very different kind of place, which I think I would use something like that later, maybe like a mall or something. So I went in and went into architecture websites and found some plans to go with that I thought would fit the theme and fit the requirements of the game. Pretty self-contained, so it worked pretty well for a Game Boy game, and it gives the rooms a sense of place. And it does also gives a sense of home because that original Japanese source of Guzu had it so it was attacking them in their homes because that's where you see the reflections, and then it moved on to bodies of water. So if they ever go near the lake or something, it comes out and just starts grabbing them.
Oh wow.
So I cut off the side of the building to give me a nice even square because I don't need the garage. And then I started to block in things with just kind of drawing in a grid. Um, so the whole time we were going back and forth about like I'm not really sure what kind of requirements that they need for the grid, but they kind of gave me some. Hey, it has a limit of this size, 512 by 512. Probably stay within 256 if you can. Make sure your art is it ended up being 16 by 16, but at this point it has to be at least if it's calculable in 8 by 8s, it should work regardless. So I came and went in and did a mock-up of the idea I was going for, just some crazy creature hanging out behind a mirror, just grabbing people whenever they're just walking around. I kind of make a joke about it being like a Pokemon trainer where they're walking around and instead you're grabbing them instead of them looking for you. So then I added my mock-up to my design for the room. Started building it out with different image with different tiles. So I started with the floor and just kind of basing out everything, and then blocking out what I kind of looked the walls to look like. And all this time I'm tweaking it because you can actually just take the tiles and reference it back to the original file. So I'm looking at the different rooms and how I can represent them, including. I'll zoom in a little bit. including making the kitchen really feel like a kitchen by like maybe putting a fridge, just the bare minimum because you have to be very repeatable with these. You have a very strict limit of at first they were talking about 200. Now they're talking like 296. I'm not really sure where it stands, but at this point it stands at about 100 unique tiles. So you're very
Oh
worried
wow.
about how you can reuse and how many unique tiles you can use.
Is that
So
like a request from your team or like a
no,
limitation of the game jam?
it's based on the limits of the Game Boy itself,
Oh, neat.
because
Okay.
you're dealing with a very specific hardware that can only do a certain amount.
So
And
the
after doing this, I got like a crazy respect for Game Boy devs.
I was
Uh,
gonna say, so they're trying to get you to fit the limitations of the actual Game Boy like
mhm.
assets and creation.
Yeah, it has to actually be able to run on a Game Boy.
That's cool.
So when we send stuff back and forth, he's sending me ROM files that I'm literally dragging into a Game Boy emulator, BGB.
Are you
I'm
testing
like,
this like on your computer or actually with a real Game Boy?
on the computer first, but eventually towards the end, we're gonna have to start moving it over to the Game Boy
That's cool.
because the computer's just faster, and getting it out of it onto it.
Yeah.
The other guy has the Game Boy though. I don't have one.
Okay.
Well, I have one, but I don't have the cart to move.
Is what software is your programmer, your team using to create these tile sets like
He
laying it
is
out?
using I forget the name of it. It's not the easy one. I only know Game Boy Studio.
Okay.
He knows the actual one where he builds it, and part of his thinking was that like if you're just not in Game Boy Studio, that gives you an advantage
Yeah.
over what you can do. And he seems to know what he's doing. He's a programmer. I don't remember which one it is. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
All right. So we got started building out the rooms. Oh, yes, clicking again. And I started thinking about the placement of the mirrors, which is the location that he uses to flip worlds. So I started to notice that like it's bunched up in the middle there. I kind of wanted it to be like a puzzle, so you have to actually get in the room from the mirror world, but you also have a certain amount of time that you can stay in the real world.
That's
Sometimes it
cool.
moves over and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why.
Oh,
There
you're
it is.
talking, yeah, your image. Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of like an illustration of because I was kind of going back and forth of what I was thinking with him. So then it turned into this. I kind of moved everything to the edges, so you kind of have to travel from the outside in.
Okay.
So like sort of the interior is kind of hard to get into. I did a little mock-up of kind of the idea of what I'm going for, like as an actual gameplay scene, where it's just like running through and you just grab them. So then we get to finally a complete build that I had, just a general idea. This is all still technically in Photoshop, so then we're gonna have to go through the process of moving it over into the other programs. Over, I noticed it kind of like didn't have much of the white in there, so I decided to go back and add that extra color. You do have a 4 color limit on the background layer and a 3 color limit to the actual sprites themselves.
So this is
Um,
OG Game Boy, first Game
Yeah,
Boy.
this is for real, like the real deal.
That's
You're
cool.
actually like looking through, and you can see how the scene scrolls and how they were able to do scenes bigger than the actual screen.
Oh wow.
It's super weird to watch. I'll have to show it to you at some point. Um,
That's
yeah, so
cool.
we're doing the full color limit, full pixel art here, full tilt. So I was kind of like blocking out what I want the mirror world to look like, and
Oh neat.
started to put in those white blocks are blocked in the mirror world. So say you go in through up in this range up in here in the top left, and then you want to go and get to a certain person down on this side here. You're gonna have to start plotting your course so you can go in and out of the mirror world to be able to catch them on their patrol route.
That's
At
cool.
least that's the idea. We'll see when we finally get everything implemented. He does have some patrolling, and I can show some video here later. So I kind of just started kind of giving an idea of what I was going for the patrol routes. Again, all this stuff kind of changes. The numbers themselves are like wait for seconds. So you wait for a certain amount of ticks, and then they get up and move. And I was kind of trying to create a little personality. So like the yellow, you can kind of see he's like kind of a couch potato. He goes watch TV, and then he goes to bed, and then he gets up and he goes and watches TV again. As where someone more active might go around a little more. One person's kind of in quarantine here. They just kind of stay in their room.
So these people are like NPCs, right? So they
Yeah,
have a
yeah, he's
path that
doing
they
a
move
whole.
around.
He's at like a whole patrol route thing that he
Okay.
does, so they move around. So then I was trying to figure out how to get the tile maps out. I tried to use this tile map to tile set UI overhaul
Yeah.
app. I ended up drawing it by hand for the most part, but it did help kind of break things down as to what I had that I needed to cut out. So I ended up getting just like these little layouts of tile sets that like shows me where things are kind of inaccurate or redundant. So we
Huh.
changed the type of portal that we have to just be like one single square. Things like the different tubs were taken out. Things like these repeating cabinetry where they kind of overlap and it's the same thing. We were able to pull out. And the same thing with the mirror world. You see the kind of the ground tiles are getting kind of samey, but only slight variations. So we were able to cut that down significantly to reach the limits that you have.
So those were
So
like a process to ensure that you're not doubling up on textures that you don't need.
yeah, because you're very aware of how many textures you use,
Yeah.
and you do have a finite limit on it.
Okay.
So if you're just doing whatever, you can't really keep it up that way.
That's cool.
So then we got to the map builder kind of point where he showed me the map that he kind of built in here to test things, little small areas, little loops, things like that. I actually have the program up now, and it shows you that, and then I can show you that what you do on one side kind of goes into the other. You kind of grab the tile designer here, and whenever you do something like, say I want something in slot 107 here, I can maybe just go in and copy and paste it into the other square and then save it, and it'll come up over here under 107. So if I just go back up here and hit save, it moved but it updated it. So
Oh,
now
okay.
we have a square in 107, and I can place that square on the tiles in the world. Now you notice that this one's a little bit different because we did actually end up updating significantly here. This is more of a image representation of of the changes and how it's progressed over time. So then I did the mirror side. Instead, doing copying a lot of the tiles out of the last file, but I was able to make the interiors black to make it clear that it's very opposite world and change the map layout. Luckily, because they're squares, you can use a lot of them like these tables here. You can literally just, it's the same exact image, same exact kind of tile, so you can just kind of move it, copy and paste it on the other side, and then just edit the colors for it, and it kind of works.
Yeah, that's cool.
So then it turned into this. This is where we currently are. Well, not yet, but almost where we currently are. Kind of rearranging the design of the tiles anyway. All of that will change because we can go ahead and like retile things if we need to, and then re-export and import it into the game. Gets exported as a .c and a .h where the programmer knows how to use it. I haven't really dug into that side yet. I've mostly stuck to the art, music design, and that kind of section, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
So then I started drawing different routes for the other one, kind of giving a little bit more overlap. We'll see how that works in practice. We haven't really got to test that part out yet, but I kind of wanted to give them more of like active daily lives where they actually leave the building, come back. You kind of get the idea that you're catching these people in the daytime in their day. So then he came back with a really crazy A sprite system to automatically that I can automatically draw the tiles in, and it edits it and exports it as a .h and a .c, so I can skip the entire step of the tile designer.
So it made it a lot easier.
Yeah. And you can see up here it has the color palette, so you can actually like just kind of grab it, and then
That's
that
cool.
sends it to edit mode, and you can go ahead and grab a tile, say here,
Yeah,
and then
I've heard nothing but good things about Sprite, but I didn't know
yeah,
that they
yeah,
could
yeah.
support things like this. It's pretty neat.
I didn't either. He just kind of was like, "Hey, I made this," and I'm like, "Whoa,
That's cool.
thanks, guy."
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
So that's about there's a couple more slides here. Of course, it's not moving yet. Nope, that's not a slide. That's the actual program. Okay, so I have some other slides here. I was looking at different levels, so I'm looking at things like a subway or a street, um, cathedrals, things like that, that'll give you different levels that you can go through. And those are just auto maps that I grabbed off of like Pinterest or whatever. When it comes to the art, I kind of ran across this image when I was just looking for stuff, and I was like, hey, that's really cool. I should definitely update that to make it like kind of fit our thing.
Yeah,
So I edited it and I made I put all the theme together to make a little title screen.
that's cool.
And that should be the end of what I have for that right now.
Yeah, that bathroom or house or whatever is like kind of giving me vibes of Omari. If you've ever heard of that
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Actually, Amari is part of the inspiration that I used when
Yeah,
I was looking up things. I have like a whole Amari folder. Those kids are
yeah.
crazy.
Oh, it's really neat. It's kind of giving. I mean, I think Game Boy games are really neat, anyways. But like, it goes to show the
So,
design can do a lot of really cool stuff.
so I have his original video that he sent me of when his thing started moving.
That's cool.
Let's make that big.
I like the character.
Yeah, well, that's not final. It's just a placeholder, but I do like it as well.
Yeah, it's cute.
And he's just kind of showing off how you can go to the mirror world and back.
The tiles on that, just all pentagrams.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
perfect.
part of the inspirations for that was I cited Cult of the Lamb early on
Yep, yep.
because I think that game is really really tight. Devolver, if you want to give me money,
I know, right?
I will accept it.
I mean,
So we got another one where he's showing off the NPCs moving
okay.
and then attacking them when they're not looking and resetting when you get caught, and also the hunger meter at the bottom.
Sorry, I didn't catch. Are you the uh, person in the mirror, or are you avoiding the person in the mirror?
You are the person in the mirror. You're the
Okay.
monster.
Sorry, I didn't even
Yeah,
ask that at first, but
yeah. So
yeah,
you're the mirror monster
gotcha.
terrorizing these poor people.
That's so neat.
Little more art. Kind of threw this
Yeah,
together real quick based off the other one.
that's cool.
I really like the idea of like the uvula being like an eye, so it's like looking at
Yeah,
you, but it's also teeth.
yeah, that's
So
cool.
at this point, we can shift focus to some of the music stuff. I know you mentioned I did music
Yeah,
on this as well. Um,
let me see. Are you wanting to play that, or you want me to try?
I don't know if I can.
Okay.
Can
I don't
I
know if I
see?
can either, but I will try.
Can
So
I
I've got.
get can I get it to share to my um Game Boy Studio here?
So to
I'm at
play this, you have to stream the app instead of your entire desktop.
Okay, so I have to stop streaming and stream the
Yeah.
app.
Yep.
Okay.
Because when you stream your entire desktop or screen or whatever, Discord doesn't know what audio source it's pointing to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should work.
Yeah. Let's see if this. We'll try it. We'll see if it works. Sometimes
All right. So
technology.
this one was the one of the original ones I threw together. I was kind of like trying to like looking through music theory. I actually found this really cool site called what was it called? Hook Theory. It gives you breakdowns of the different music, of the different notes involved in the songs, so you can actually like sort of do like clones of other songs.
Okay.
So in this case, I did like one based off of a Suicide Boys song called Southside. It's a little bit
Okay.
faster than this. You can go in and change the tempo.
Now I hear it on my end. Let us know in the stream if you guys can't hear it.
And that's sort of how the song goes. So I go through and you can use like music theory to like mix things up and recreate and do different songs. So then I just kind of like started going crazy. What is that? Let's say saving. All right. So I was kind of going through and trying different techniques with the different patterns. Up here you can see there's different note types you have. You have 4 different tracks and you can only have one going at a particular track at a certain point in time. So when you click on it, it highlights the other ones. And the reason I'm working in Game Boy Studio, I didn't explain that part, is that I can actually click this button here and I can go through and see the codes that I have. And I can go through and put it into the other one, which is
Oh.
compatible with the engine that we're using, but it's not very intuitive.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I remember
I
playing
want
with
it.
this tool years ago, and it
Yeah, yeah. It is
takes a
not
bit to
intuitive
get
at
to
all.
learn.
I like that we have a piano roll.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I bet.
So
That's always the question. Does it have piano roll?
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I had to make sure that we definitely had one of those. So I was just playing around with different atmospheres and soundscapes. I'll just stay quiet for a minute, let you listen to the different songs. In this one, I was thinking like a rising thing going on with the bass, and I was thinking like minimal kind of drums. You have the different instruments down in here, which are basically just the kind of pulse that you have.
Okay.
You have like a selection, copy, paste. So you basically just draw in. It's a lot like FL Studio if you've ever used that.
Yeah, someone said it sounds like the opening of a story scene theme.
So then I was going through and doing hip hop songs. So this one is Red Bottoms by Cardi B.
Yeah.
In chiptune style.
I hear it.
And then I tweaked it.
Someone was saying, Shia was saying you should do Lavender Town.
Hey, I will take recommendations. Yes, put that in the chat
Hey,
down below, and I will get to it.
So what's the name of this program?
This one is Game Boy Studio.
Game Boy
So
Studio.
it's a full Game Boy setup where you can go ahead and make. These are example scenes. It's a different one than the actual one that my teammate is using, but he's like a full programmer, so he's not kind of limited to this kind of thing.
Okay.
He's using one of the more harder ones that you have to actually use like C in.
Yeah. Real programming in.
Yeah. I mean, if he wanted to, he could do assembly, and I'm like, nah.
It's like, do you want to? Well, and that's the cool thing is someone was saying is like, man, I'd love to learn the art part of this, and what it comes down to is, especially during a game jam, you can kind of choose what you want to do. You just have to be adventurous enough to try, and a lot of times just pairing people up with whatever aspect of the game you will need help with, right? So if you're an artist, make sure you're looking for someone that can also support the programming side. And if you know your game is like this, is going to be a lot of music, then make sure you have something set up. Either you can get something quick and make, or know someone that knows how to do this stuff and kind of get you stuff pretty quickly. And it's not a make or break thing. Everybody's going to have a multitude of different skill sets, but it's a great way to kind of lay out your project.
You know, the skill that I originally didn't anticipate needing as much was writing. Like just being able to throw a competent 3-act structure together with some basic scaffolding on top to like build some anticipation or characterize a little more or things like that has been like immensely helpful. Especially because in certain projects you just kind of like get to a point where you built all these tools, but you don't have a story. You don't have any kind of like selection process to guide you in any particular direction.
Yeah, I feel bad. Someone was just mentioning, what is a game jam? Yeah, Caleb, you did it real well.
Oh, a game jam? Yeah.
It's a lot of different things, but basically it's a game made in a short amount of time. In this instance, it's 3 months. A lot of times it's over a weekend, and you don't need game development experience. Usually just go in, pair up with a team. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's in person. In COGG, we've done a couple of different game jams, even this year. But they're a great way to get some experience and try some things out without the worry that it's going to take you like 3 or 4 years to make a game. It's just whatever you make, and at the end is what you present and showcase. And it's a great way to meet people and talk to folks and get to learn a lot about game development. Yeah, good question.
Yeah. I forgot to get the very basics. I started digging into
I did too.
the actual doing of it.
Yeah, these are really neat. You can make sound effects in this too, right? I assume just kind of go.
Yeah. Sound effects are very similar. Eventually, I'm gonna get to sound effects. I haven't gotten there quite yet. I also did see some freeware tools. So my process in actually making music is to just start with like a primary thing. So in this case, it was this kind of structure here.
Yeah.
And then I kind of work around it.
Okay. Now, are those pieces at the top, like, you can add more of those, or are they always the 4 different tabs at the top right?
They're always the 4 by the nature of the Game Boy.
Okay.
It only has 4 tracks at any particular time.
And what file format does this usually export out? Is it, like, particular to a Game Boy file format? or?
Yeah, they have very particular formats.
Okay.
We haven't actually put music in the game yet, so we haven't done that part. I kind of moved it over just using the piano roll to the other program, so it does work. And I exported some MP3s as well as the format. But again, we're in the middle of stuff. I think what's happening is that like he's focusing on the things that are gonna like make the game an actual game,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna go in and add the music later on.
Okay. And if you're showcasing this audio, do you guys like meet up and stream stuff online, or do you like send files as to, like, how do you guys communicate?
I was literally just sending files back and forth,
Okay.
files and like music clips. So I was exporting as MP3s just for ease of use.
Yeah.
To send to him and say, hey, check this out. Actually, I don't think he's really paid too much attention to that, because again, he's still, hey, that's great. I'm working on movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds good. I get that you have a vision. So the artists usually are the vision for the team. They come up with like, if the programmer has like an idea, it tends to be mechanical, but it doesn't seem to have a theme over top of it. So you kind of shape the project. I kind of consider it like a soft balance of power, where you're kind of shift things in a particular direction as opposed to another direction. Where you have like kind of competing factions, so you're just kind of like, all right, well, if I want to do this idea, then I need to move this in a slight direction that way to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted it to be action. I wanted the music and everything in the tone to be like kind of quick, but it's still like a stealthy game. So you have to be kind of cautious, but you have to like go ahead and run in and get in there and grab the person. And while you still have a chance, because other people are going to be coming around, and you don't actually know the full route of the person yet, or maybe you do, and you got to time it right.
Yeah.
So the entire time you have to constantly just be thinking about how the gameplay will work, and trying to keep it as simple as possible. So you'll get like an explosion of ideas, you'll get explosion of concepts and stuff, and your job is to like rein it into what particular things you need in that particular project to kind of fulfill the vision you're aiming for.
Yeah, this is really interesting because like normally you don't get about 3 months to do an idea.
Yeah.
Of this,
I found that really wild.
Yeah. So that's really cool because like it allows you to create this foundation, which is kind of normal in a game development cycle, like to have a lot more time to kind of funnel through
It's just
a lot
everything
of
is
ideas
like everything is hyper
down.
accelerated when it's like a weekend,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
or
like
even
whatever
like an
idea you
hour.
have first is the idea you go with.
Yeah, you don't have time to really like explore. You whiteboard and you have like an hour. All right, we got the game. Let's go.
Well, cool. We are at our time, but I was gonna ask, like, you got a couple more minutes. Do you want to talk about like where your next steps are and what you are planning to do the next coming weeks
and if there's questions and plugs. So right now the next steps is I'm just gonna let the programmer keep doing what they do. They've got a lot of work ahead of them, so he's got to plug out just different systems. We talked about setting up a Trello board. We might end up doing that at some point. My steps right now is it's kind of like a wait and see, because we kind of got the level together, and I kind of want to see what he kind of pulls up so I can kind of pivot based off of what he does. Like if, for example, if we need a next level, if he's already finished the building to extend it to put in a next level, then I can start working on that. But if not, I can maybe start looking at character, or maybe start looking at porting over some of this music. I kind of dodge around with whatever he's doing. And if there's any questions, go ahead and ask. I'm doing the Game Boy Compo 2023, and that one's for a month and 17 days still. A couple plugs. My name is Retro Reflector on Itch, and so you can find me there. You can find me on Twitter. This game is called Banished Forsaken Thing. There'll be a link posted up. I don't have any Game Boy builds built yet, or Game Boy builds. I'm not going to put up a build until it's at a point where I want it to be fully seen. But you can go ahead and start hyping on that, because it's actually coming together pretty well. If I do say so myself. Also, I have We also have a short story that I'm looking to get some feedback on. I might try to send it to publishers. I'm not really sure. It's called Echoes and Whispers, and it's about a zombie, super zombie hero. So if you're interested in that thing, but yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me. I'm Earthshine on the group Discord if you want to send me a chat or questions or comments or anything.
Yeah, so I see a couple folks. I don't see any questions, Darius. They're just kind of comments. There, some folks are not seeing some of the links, but what we'll go ahead and do is make sure that do the post on our Discord channel. So if there's things that we're looking for, I did put in your itch.io information, so that might be a permissions thing.
It might be a permissions thing.
Oh,
Okay.
how do I post a link? Oh, yeah, that's just stuff that we'll have to worry about. Yeah, Caleb, I appreciate you maybe looking at that, but um, how do I
Okay.
post a link? Yeah, I'll have to worry about that later. But yeah, I've been posting a couple things. Let us know if you aren't seeing the posts that the COGG uh, is showing. But yeah, this has been really great. So I posted your itch profile. So like if people want to showcase that or look at that in the future when you get the game done, we'll definitely want to take a look at that, let people play around with it because it is coming
Yeah,
along pretty well.
and the deadline is September 15th, I believe. So
September 15th.
after that, it should be up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I mean, people were really impressive presentation. Yeah. Oh, it looks like maybe folks can't post links here.
Oh,
I'd have to look at that. That's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to take a look. That's definitely for like, security reasons. You want people posting stuff for people to look. Yeah, so
makes sense.
yeah, well, maybe there's a way for us to do that some other way. But anyways, that's not here or now. Great show. I appreciate you going through your process of what your design and artwork processes, as well as your music. So we're
Yeah,
excited to see
I
how that
thought
turns
people would
out.
find it interesting. And I'll catch you later.
Cool. All right, we'll swing into our next and last presentation. And thanks, Darius, for having us. And we'll catch you later. Let me go ahead and switch over. All right. And I didn't even ask him, but I'll see if Brian's ready. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. All right. Are you there? Nuclear combat wombat. Oh, let me see. Let me see if he's available, and if not, no big deal. Present. So how? Let us know if there are game jams that you guys have been a part of. We'll post that some of the names of these game jams there. We had one recently. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We had them recent one for GDEX. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, yep, yep, yep. Good. All right, cool. Are you there? Yep, cool. So the GDEX Game Jam is a great one, and we also do a global game jam. Oh, sorry. You were in here for a second, then it like went back for some reason. I don't know what happened with Discord. Okay. Should be good now. Technology. All right. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, that was actually my fault. I think I accidentally joined the green room again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that happens to me all the time. I was like in a stream the other day, and I was poking around. I always get like dozens and dozens of push notifications, and I clicked on one voice channel, and it took me out, and I'm like, crap, I gotta find how to get back. So, but yeah, I wanted to welcome our next presentation. This is Brian, so he's been part of our COG group for a while. So what I would usually say is it's your show, so if you want to do a little breakdown of who you are, what your background is and what you'll be showcasing today. We'll love to see what you're working on.
Okay. So I'm a professional software developer. I've been in software development for about 13 years now. I am not a professional game developer. Most of the stuff I do is web development. I know Java, C Sharp, do a lot of HTML, CSS, and SQL stuff. Game development has pretty much been my hobby for a while. Somewhat recently, I got into Godot, and that has been my primary game engine. You will occasionally see me not so subtly try to drag everyone into that system because it's amazing and I think it's the best, and I will rant about it at length.
Yeah, it's like I tell people you're the official, unofficial Godot person, and you're like, I don't do Godot. I'm like, well,
I
you do more than
I am.
most.
I think, as far as I'm aware, I am the most experienced Godot person in the
Yeah.
Meetup group.
Sure. Yep.
That's not saying as much as you might think, but
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's gotten pretty in depth over the years. It's definitely improved. So
yeah,
if you're coming in and you're like a couple years old and said, Godot is like, it's an okay
yeah.
program. It's definitely evolved.
Yeah, they've just released Godot 4, which is a significant improvement. However, one little caveat I would say, if you are just getting into Godot, be very careful because a lot of the tutorials and documentation are still for Godot 3. Most things translate over just fine. Not all of them. So just if you're looking at something and it doesn't make sense, check the date of the tutorial. If you're looking at something from 2019 or so, maybe look for something newer.
And is there a possibility of taking old Godot projects into the new one, or is that something
Yes.
not possible?
The importer, I have used it about a dozen times now to move my old projects over. So far, it has worked consistently without issues.
Okay.
So
That's pretty good.
yeah. Also, hang on. Those of you who have seen me on Discord have seen that my icon, I appear to be being bothered by cats nonstop. That is very accurate. Whenever they hear, I have 3 of them, and whenever they hear my voice, they come and investigate. All 3 of them have just meandered into the room.
They're like,
You've
Dad's
seen one of them.
talking.
You've seen. Here's the other one.
That's so funny.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I have
Anyways.
2 in here right now that are sleeping away. They're usually pretty calm during the day. Then at night, it's like, well, it's chaos.
So on to current projects. Right now, I am working on Nemesis Star. This is a project that was originally started for the GDEX Game Jam. It has since diverged wildly from from the original concept, but that's okay. As for today's presentation, I wanted to go over shaders. This is specific to shaders in Godot, but a lot of this stuff is applicable regardless of what engine. Because one thing I've noticed, and this is something that I fell prey to myself, is a lot of game developers are either underutilizing shaders or not utilizing them at all. And the way they are presented is a little bit scary. You see a really cool shader effect, you check out the openly provided shader code, and it is 5 pages of equations that look like it's some kind of demon summoning ritual.
Yeah. Yep.
The reality is that you can get some amazing effects with shaders with very few lines of code, and if you're willing to dip your toes into that, it can really power up your game development. There's a lot of things which can be done very simply in a shader that would be much harder to do or straight up impossible to do in regular code. This is especially important for us as indie developers because most indie games are not straining the GPU. Unless you've done something wacky and you've got a scene with several million polygons in it, you're probably more likely to be CPU limited. So you can also get a lot of performance benefits by offloading as much as possible onto the GPU using shader code. So without further ado, let me share my screen here. And hopefully...
Yeah, I was gonna say while you're loading that, if you do dabble a little bit in shaders, it is a very, I would say very, but it's a sought after skill set in the game development industry. So if you start moving into that, I've seen a lot of folks get into it and find different positions just because it is something that most people don't think about, like that they may even be interested in, but also that it's a need at some point in the pipeline that then they're like scrambling to try to find someone who knows anything about it.
Yeah.
So cool.
So, what I've got here, first off, can you all see my screen at this point? Have
Yep.
I done this correctly?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Now there's no audio, but I don't know if you need that.
No audio from the demo scene.
Okay.
So, right now, I am focusing on. Let me start over. There are different types of shaders. Generally speaking, when you're talking about shaders, most of the time you're talking about either spatial shaders, which are for 3D, or canvas item shaders, which are for 2D, sprites and such. I focused on spatial shaders because that's the most common. A lot of this stuff also applies to 2D sprite shaders. There's also things like environment and lighting shaders. These vary from game engine to game engine, but they are exactly what they sound like for the most part, and I'll show you some examples of those later. What I have on the screen here in this demo scene is a series of objects that have had different. We can automatically texture it. And this is the kind of thing that really accelerates. If you're making a 3D world, one of the hardest things to do is get everything textured. What you can do to really accelerate things is just get this shader material.
All right. Hey, hold on just one moment. It seems like I'm getting some technical difficulties.
Okay.
Not sure why. Here, let me see something.
Okay. I think I actually need to.
That's okay. This is strange because, like, I think my internet is great, so I don't think it's bandwidth. Nope, not bandwidth. It. I mean, I hear everything fine. Like, I'm not receiving enough video to maintain smooth such. Just dipped out for a sec. You're back. I mean, I'm getting some issues on YouTube, but my down is like 560 down, so I should be fine. Okay. Let me check OBS, because maybe OBS, I don't know if I can even change that at this point. Da 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 da. Nope, that should be fine. Very fast. Okay, well let me go ahead and just bring it back.
You're fine that we can move forward.
Alright, let's see if that works. I got excellent connection, so we should be fine now.
Okay.
Crossing fingers.
So I actually need to take a little step back.
Sure.
I just realized that I never actually explained what exactly a shader is. So the oh yeah, that is kind of blurry, but oh well. The gist of it is your computer has two processors, the CPU and the GPU, the central processing unit and the graphics processing unit. The GPU is just responsible for taking sprites or polygons, running them through the necessary projection matrices, and then displaying them on the screen. So the GPU is highly optimized for some very specific operations. A shader is a program that is run on the GPU for each individual fragment, be that a sprite or a polygon, whatever. And most of the time, you are actually using a default shader. Without even writing anything, your game engine is running whatever you send it through some default program that determines how lighting equations are applied, normals are calculated, etc. Graphics 101 stuff.
Yeah.
What a shader program can do is also, if you're familiar with 3D graphics, most things are meshes. Meshes are groups of polygons, mostly triangles and quads. So the vertex shader lets you do things to alter the vertices of the mesh. So if you'll look at the little demo scene I've got spinning around here, you'll see two objects in there that are changing shape. Because of the frame rate, one of them might not be highly visible. We've got a glowy sphere that's pulsing in and out. Let me close this and show you the shader for that.
So these are each a shader for each of those objects?
Each object in this scene has a different shader, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Unfortunately, the blurriness is kind of killing this. So,
like the stream blurriness or the...
Yeah.
Let me see.
Let me hang on. Actually, oh, good grief! Never mind. That's on my end. My YouTube auto put me at 144p. There we go. Much better. Okay. I didn't even know it went that low. Jeez. Okay. Anyways, so the pulsing energy sphere. Let me actually try and get this. So the key point here is the vertex shader. So all this is doing, it's taking a sine wave, and it's using the time as an input to the sine wave, and scaling the object up and down based on that. And this is something you could do in code. You could scale things up and down in code, but by doing this as a shader, this is a material that you can just apply once to anything you want. So I can just, in the scene just right now real quick, we'll add a box. Bring that up here. Make it big. Oops, that's a 0. And maybe not that big. Apply a shader material. And there we go. We've got our magical pulsing box.
That's cool.
Okay. And again, so that's an example of what you can do with a vertex shader. The other type of shader that you will frequently run into is a fragment shader. And again, technically that shader does both. It has a vertex component and a fragment component. So the fragment component is how I get this thing to be translucent in the center and brighter towards the edges. We're grabbing the normal, we're grabbing the dot product of the view vector and the normal vector, and then we're just mixing two colors, a bright color and a translucent color, and applying those to albedo, emission, and alpha. As a side note, you will need to know a little bit about material properties in order to make your shaders work for you. But as you can see, with just a very small amount of lines, you can get some really cool effects.
Yeah.
The shader used to texture this, which, by the way, I am very glad that I put together this little demo, because I found out that I was using the shader in my actual game, and it had a math error, which was causing the texture to shift a little, depending on the camera perspective, and I was having trouble figuring out why. So, another word of warning: matrix multiplication. Order matters. Multiplying a vector by a matrix is not the same thing as multiplying a matrix by a vector. So just watch out for that.
Yeah, so for you, when you went through to try to figure out how to create some of these shaders, like what was your approach? Did Godot just have some documentation that gave you the basics, or did you use tutorial videos? Like what worked best for you?
Uh,
I might be jumping
I
the gun.
started with the best tool of any uh, good game developer, and that is blatant plagiarism. There's a site called GodotShaders.com. I literally got on here, looked up interesting shaders, took a look through the code, and figured out how they did it.
Cool.
So let me see. There's one like here's all a bunch of different terrain shaders. This one right here. So the shader I used for my rocky texture is a vastly simplified version of this. This one takes two textures and blends them based on the normal, plus some noise, and it counts for normal maps and all kinds of things. It's still, for the effect it gives, this is a surprisingly short shader.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But mine is just a simplified version of this one. And again, it's just we take the object normal, we multiply the inverse view matrix to get the local space normal. That is another thing you're going to need to know if you are getting into shaders, is you will have to learn the difference between world space, object space, and so on. Suffice to say, this equation right here is how you get the object space normal. And it just basically, all this stuff does is the vector pointing up. And if depending on how up it is pointing, blend between a wall color and a base color.
Okay. Huh.
And you get this really nice effect where you get grass on top and dirt on the bottom. Let me.
And then you're assigning the result color variable to the albedo.
Yeah.
Channel.
And again, another advantage of doing things like this instead of just texturing your objects manually. I'm doing solid colors, but you could just as easily make these parameters an image if you decide you want to change things. For example, when I was demoing my game at our last prototype and play, I found out from one of the players that my color choice was really bad for people with certain types of color blindness. They couldn't distinguish the player and certain objects against the background. And because I had done this as a shader, I was able to just hop in and just randomly say, okay, we're going to go for a nice alien blue color, and we're going to change the top to be, I don't know, orange grass, or no, red grass. There we go. So change the shader, and hey presto, we've now got a
cool.
completely different looking object. Another thing that you will find is very, very useful with shaders, noise textures. So this freaky energy sphere thing. So this is the most complicated shader that I myself have written. This one, also I've got a lot of garbage in here that I commented out and probably needs to be removed. Disregard that. There you go.
See nothing.
Yeah. So the trick to this one, so two of the inputs are noise textures. As a side note, one of the reasons I love Godot, it lets you just quickly generate noise textures with a couple clicks and do lots of wonderful options like whether or not to make them seamless. So you want to make a seamless noise texture, you just click the seamless checkbox and it does it for you.
Are you serious? Whoa.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I can be sloppy.
Yeah. And if you've got the fast noise light, which lets you just pick a seed value, and a noise type, it is wonderful. Noise functions are amazing for shaders. You want to do like an energy field, if you want to do a fire effect, smoke effect, anything that is mildly chaotic but not pure static, noise function. Very handy. And
Yeah.
what this is all doing
Oh, it does have a
is,
seed. Okay, cool.
yep. Yeah, in this case, I just left the seed as 0 because I'm lazy, but
If you don't need to change it, you don't need to change it.
yeah. Um, but yeah, this one is just taking 2 noise values and um, looking for using them to create this interference pattern of like a shifting energy wave thing. Um, and a lot of this, like I said, I didn't have a clear plan going into the shader. A lot of it was just playing around with the math, seeing what different effects I could get until I hit on one that was interesting. So adding noise, subtracting noise, multiplying noise, taking the difference of noise, you can get some really crazy effects. And I hope it is showing up well here. These pillars here, this is an example of just another crazy thing you can do with vertex shaders. They're just being modified. Their X position of each vertex is being modified by a sine wave on top of the rocky texture shader that I showed earlier. So again, just these are the kinds of things you can do. And this is stuff that, yeah, you could probably do this in code by manually getting in there and adjusting the position of each vertex, but that's going to take forever. And it's going to be very, very poor in performance because you're going to be doing lots and lots of manual operations on the CPU. Whereas the GPU, this doesn't take any longer to render than a normal mesh. I also did this, one thing I noticed, vertex shaders cannot create additional vertices. So that is one important thing to remember if you're working with a vertex shader, is that it can only use the vertices that are present in the base model. These 2 meshes here, you'll notice the one on the left, you can see that it's very low poly, and the effect is kind of obvious. The mesh on the right, this is one that I went back in, added some subdivisions, and made it a much higher poly mesh. And you can see how that has made the effect a lot smoother. But, you know what? I'm actually going to do a thing real quick. I want to see something. There we go.
Huh. Yeah, it's really neat. I know some folks are saying that the particular effect can also be extended into triplanar texture mapping, which is out of my realm of knowledge of what that entails, but
Yeah.
that, I mean, I guess that comes to there is some foundational knowledge that you should learn when doing shaders, but it sounds like the good news, because I'm familiar with this even though I've never, like some of the concepts you're talking about, even though I've never worked in Godot's shader network, a lot of engines and tools out there that use materials and shaders are uh, usually use the same foundation, right?
Yes.
So once you learn one, then you can kind of understand some of the basics in another program. So I know
Yeah.
Caleb was talking about Unity's shader graph is another neat one. Unreal has one for blueprints, and so they all kind of have similar foundations, which is great to start with at least.
Yeah. And the most important thing, I think, is to realize that you need very few lines of code to make an interesting and useful shader.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't used shaders before, it is absolutely something worth looking into. Because, again, some of these shaders, like the pulsing effect is literally just like three lines. That's all it takes. As a side note, just one last thing I wanted to show off: the water shader. This one is not mine, but this is the kind of thing that you can get when you get really good at shaders, this one I just pulled straight off the Godot shader site. But
That's
again,
cool.
just a really nice water effect.
Oh, they have layers of foam. Yeah, that's so cool is you can stack stuff. Now, obviously, like the more you do, the more processing power it is to record that. But
Yeah, but
the
that's kind of the nice thing though,
yeah,
is because our graphics cards have gotten so optimized, you have to do something really, really, really extreme to have any noticeable cost to it. Like, say, for example, this water shader, it looks enormous, but none of these operations take particularly long time. There's a few matrix projections, and the rest is just pure algebra equations. So it doesn't use noise functions. It uses just a set of 4 noise textures, which reading from a texture takes basically no time at all in a shader program. So even though this looks fairly complex in terms of actual cost, in terms of performance, it's basically free. You would have to have thousands of these water textures present at the same time to see any noticeable impact.
that's really cool. Yeah, and something else too is it gives your game a unique style that is harder to replicate. Not saying it's impossible, and obviously I've seen games do
Yeah.
this kind of stuff before, but the default shaders that an engine can give you can sometimes be limiting without some intensive like actual images that you can create. And so learning a little bit to kind of make some unique things here and there can help your game stand out for sure.
Yeah. And also, shameless plug, and to show off some of these shaders in an actual game environment. This is Nemesis Star. This is the game that I am working on. And as soon as the stream catches up, it looks like we're on about a 10-second delay here.
Yeah, it
Here we
just
go.
depends.
So, just a few things here. Those laser targeting things that you see from the turrets, those are all shaders. The projectiles, one of which should show up here sooner or later, there's a shader behind those. The sky, that is a shader. Also, side note, I cannot take credit for the sky shader. That was another thing that I just borrowed. The engine flames are a shader. And all the terrain uses a shader. I realize things are a bit sparse. I currently have it set up to test a chunk loading system.
Oh, yeah, it's really cool. It's definitely up to. So a lot of this stuff used to be brown, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was this reddish brown, and that was one of the things we found out was actually messing with people in terms of color blindness. It's also the reason why I've made the player ship a bright white, because I wanted something that would show up against all different types of backgrounds.
I'm gonna say turrets views and reviews says, "Wow, looks really sweet." So yeah, it looks like we're getting some eyes looking at this pretty well. That's cool. Oh, I like the. Is that like a fog view?
So that is part of the shader.
Okay.
There is a far color. So I've got like a color for the top, a color for the side, and a color for distant objects. Distant objects are colored darker, and they slowly fade into normal color as they get closer.
That's really cool.
And it's all configurable. So again, if I want to change the distance at which objects fade in, I just have to change one number in the shader, and that changes it for everything. You can also make shaders local to the scene, in which case changing a shader parameter will only change that scene instead of changing everything.
Okay, cool. I like your little compass at the top too.
Yeah.
Directional compass.
Thank you.
Nice
Yeah.
touch.
As a side note, I I spent about an hour fighting with the joystick controls. I was really, really frustrated at how clunky the joystick controls were. Turns out that's a hardware issue. My joystick is so old and has been used so extensively that it has a dead zone that encompasses 3/4 of the available area.
Oh, jeez.
So, um,
That's
but
fun.
yeah,
It's not me, it's my device.
yes.
Not the
They
engine.
say a poor craftsman blames his tools, but I think I can be excused in this
There you
case.
go. Yeah, it's cool. Like, this has definitely come a long way since I know you were kind of pushing this in the GDX Game Jam. So yeah, if you got another little bit of time, like talk about your game, what your thoughts are, and where your
Okay.
next steps to working on this project.
Okay. The game itself, it's intended to be a kind of an open world action adventure type game. I've been calling it basically a cross between Star Fox and Zelda, but with more explosions. Uh, the idea is that you and your friends have crash landed on a alien world overrun with hostile AI driven war machines. And it's an awful place. Everything's trying to kill you. You've got the war machines, you've got radiation storms, meteor showers, natural disasters, the whole 9 yards, and you'd really rather be anywhere else. But actually getting off the planet is going to be a bit of a trick. So you've got to fly around, gather things, run away screaming from whatever the planet's throwing at you at the moment. Collect upgrades, keep an eye out for shelter. Big part of this is the movement system. It's not ready yet, but I'm currently prototyping a new system. Basically, the player will be able to boost around the world at high speed, but they have to constantly watch their heat while they do so. And there's lots of, if you want to go fly around at maximum speed, you have to find ways to dump heat. My favorite way of dumping heat is by ramming an enemy. If you ram an enemy, all your heat gets transferred to them. They probably won't like it.
That's cool. It's a fun mechanic.
Yeah. And there's other things, various little tricks and maneuvers you can do. Again, still prototyping the movement system. Right now, what you're seeing right now is a very simple movement system. You just hold shift to boost and hold space to brake. The ship model itself kind of cracks me up. I have had that thing sitting on my hard drive for several years. It was something I made for a different project, and just basically forgot about it. It is getting my ass kicked. Hang on. I've cleaned it up a bit, and it's a lot better, but I made this back when I had no idea what topology is. So another, just a little thing, if anybody gets into 3D modeling, follow a tutorial. It's okay to be self-taught, but don't be entirely self-taught. You'll end up reinventing the wheel a lot. There's several things I wish I knew when I started off.
Yeah, it's a continuous process because I'm actually going back and learning and brushing up on my knowledge of 3D, and there's so many new things out there that makes like working in different parts of the pipeline much easier. That yeah, you gotta kind of dive back in and learn like in different periods of your life. Like it's a constant thing because things have changed and standards are much easier at times. Like you're talking about shaders, like one of the big things I've seen a lot of, especially in PBR textures and materials, is substance painters kind of king, so to speak, king, queen, however you want to say
Yeah.
that, because like
Which
it's so easy to make different materials in there.
Yeah, which that was one of the big decisions I had to make with this game, was whether or not to use something like Substance Painter. I ultimately decided not to. I am going for more of a stylized, flat color, toon shaded look.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is just recognizing my own limits. I am not primarily an artist. I have some art skill. I mean, I've created most of the stuff you're seeing on the screen here, except for the sky texture. But I'm not an expert at it, and it would take too long to become an expert at it. So this is what I've got. Um, so that is another thing that I see a lot. It's for a game jam or something, it's not a big deal because no one expects super consistent graphics from a game that you slap together in 48 hours. But one of the things I have noticed in if you're trying to make a game that is going to be uh, sold or made available publicly, consistency of art style is more important than quality of art style.
Yeah, especially
One
in
of my
games because like if you're trying to get the player to understand what they're looking at and interacting with, like someone was saying, like your background being brown is kind of hard to know where to go because it blends into
yeah
things. It's important. So it's not even just does it look pretty. It's like you got to know how things look for the player and what makes sense because they got a lot of things thrown at them when they especially go
yeah
into a new game. It's good to have a good eye in some aspects for design
yeah
reasons.
yeah. So which related to one of my favorite games at the moment. I don't know if anyone here has played Pizza Tower, but I highly recommend it. And that thing, it's as far as I can tell, it was literally made in MS Paint, and yet
Cool.
it's amazing and it looks really good because the art is all consistent. Also, I think the guy literally drew like several thousand different MS Paint images, so there's still a lot of effort involved. But yeah, as for Nemesis Star, like I said, it's most of the at the moment it's mostly prototyping different systems, getting things worked out. The actual content, as you might have noticed, is a little sparse. The world is a bit empty. There's only two different types of enemies. There's some interesting terrain, but not a lot of it. Once I get the movement systems down, next step is to basically add interesting things to do in the world. Um, I've got systems planned for workshops where you can land and build or install ship upgrades, shops that are available, uh, where you can buy things, the basics of a story, where there are certain key items you need in order to leave the planet, and these items are naturally protected by horrifying bosses, because of course they are. Uh, Escape pods containing crew members that you really ought to rescue before you leave the planet, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
Uh, so yeah, one of the ideas I'm kicking around is right now the player only has two weapons. I'd like there to be a lot of different weapons. I'd like the players to be able to kind of play around, customize, and maybe there are certain weapons that are better for certain bosses or certain enemy types. Um, Although I am considering plagiarizing a little bit of Breath of the Wild's weapon system. Uh, the idea that enemies can drop certain weapons and you can pick those up and they'll be much better than just what you find lying around, but have a limited number of uses.
No, that's fine. I see a lot of games replicating mechanics in Breath of the Wild or
Yeah,
Tears of the Kingdom and
yeah. One
so
idea I'm kicking around is that like weapons that like enemies might have like elite variants. So you like those little hovering drone enemies, they have their default energy blast. Maybe there's an elite variant that fires a special weapon at you. And if you shoot it down, you can pick up the weapon it dropped. And that's yours now.
well someone was asking how many people are on your dev team.
One, I am a solo dev. All art is mine, all coding is mine. Music is all stuff that I found royalty free in various places. Tentatively, if I can get this into a reasonable state, if anyone with artistic or musical talent was interested in partnering up with me, I would be uh, open to that. But at the moment, it's just me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say in our Discord channel, definitely check out. I've seen a lot of folks like posting stuff in here too, but the job and collaboration or collab channel
Mhm.
is a great way if you are looking for work. There's people that post stuff there from time to time. I've seen a lot of really cool opportunities. Um, and then if you're looking for work, so say if you're coming out of college or if you're in software development and you want to try some contract work or full-time positions, uh, just post your background, and it becomes kind of a staple for people to look through. And I've seen both ways kind of come into collaborating on a project, and obviously like they're at your own uh, mercy of like however you want to consume that and interact with folks. But it could turn into some big projects. But at the very least, like I see folks get to a point in their game that they're working on. They're like, I just need like a really nice person that does music or sound effects. So they'll poke there, and then
Yeah,
we try to help connect people if we can. Um,
yeah.
so
Music is probably the biggest one.
yeah,
Art, like I said, I'm not a pro artist, but I'm at the point where I can create assets for this game that are stylistically consistent relatively quickly. Uh, but music is something that I have only barely dabbled in, and the idea of having to learn that from scratch and produce a game before the heat death of the universe is yikes. So yeah,
yeah,
if anybody is or knows a musician who is like willing to work on some kind of commission basis per song or something, let me know.
yeah, yeah. I know a couple. Let's definitely post in the channel. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to
Yeah,
brainstorm some ideas, especially once you
yeah,
start getting to the point where you're like, oh yeah, it'd be really neat to
yeah.
throw some stuff in
Oh,
there.
and just random side note, I don't know if it's coming across real well in the stream itself, but the one thing I'm particularly proud of is the engine arms on the fighter.
Mm.
As you accelerate, they swing backwards, and the engine flames get more intense. And when you brake, the engine flames die down, and the engine arms swing out wider, like they're acting like air brakes or something.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've seen this
So
before, so I'm like, yeah, I love those pieces of it. It kind of gives like some of those subtleties in animation can give like a sense of motion, right? Even though you're kind of just holding it to
yeah,
the camera. Um, but yeah, even like dashing and whatever, those arms can kind of help add some
yeah.
fluidity.
Which that's something I'm definitely going to be looking into. I'm looking into effects like speed lines. I've looked into motion blur, especially because this is intended to be an open world game. Travel is going to be a very, very, very big deal. So when the player is trying to get from point A to point B, I don't want that to be boring because they're
Yeah.
going to be spending a lot of time doing that. So uh,
Do you
yeah.
know if Godot has like camera lens or focal length alterations?
So, believe it or not, I just found out about that today.
Oh,
It
okay.
does. I don't have the faintest idea how to use it, but
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just learned it today.
the gist of it is if you're working in the camera, there is in the inspector, there is a section uh, for camera attributes.
Okay,
You can give it camera attributes practical or camera attributes physical.
gotcha.
Physical gives you a list of properties where you can
Aperture,
manually set
exposure.
the
Oh, okay.
frustum and exposure and such.
Oh, wow.
You can do practical, which lets you do things like set the blur distances. I actually played around with this a little bit, and it's interesting, but it also ruins everything. So let me just show you what happens if I add a uh, depth of field blur to the game. This is kind of funny.
Uh,
Oh, that's okay. That's new. That failed in a way that it hadn't failed
the
previously.
you're definitely closer to the camera.
Yeah, that didn't happen last time I did
Huh.
this. I don't. Okay, I don't know. Long story short, it is real easy to mess everything up if you don't know what you're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. So,
That's funny. No, that's cool though. Yeah, but that could help if you can create a
oh wow, I think
script.
I think I might have just broken everything. Lovely. Oh, hang on, I know what happened. I accidentally hit the field of
Field of
view
view. Oh, yeah, yeah,
somehow.
yeah. Yeah,
So
there you go.
that should
That
hopefully
might have
fix
been it.
it. Yeah, there we go. Although,
But that might be something neat if you're like doing a turbo boost. You could change the focal length of the camera lens to
yeah, I
make it
think
look like
this
you're
might have
warping.
borked something else. Yeah, okay, yeah. Something got. Oh, I know what happened. Hang on. It also reset my near planes and far planes.
Oh, that's important.
So
makes things
doubly so
disappear.
because this the scale of the
There we
game.
go.
There we go, back to normal. Oh, as a side note, Godot does support source control, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it so that when you get these weird errors that you don't figure out what the heck went wrong, you can revert to an earlier build.
Is it built inside the engine or?
There's some configuration stuff you have to do, and the actual thing is external.
Okay.
So, like,
Okay. That's
so
cool.
yeah,
I didn't know
like
that.
this is my setup. Like, on a related note, I'm a little overdue for a commit. I've been working for like a day or two and haven't committed anything, so
Oh,
probably should take care of that before I head off.
that's cool.
But yeah.
Sweet. I didn't know that.
Anyways,
Well, awesome. Yeah, so very excited about the progress I've seen so far. So yeah, definitely if we get more prototype and plays, love to see what you're working on. And then yeah, if anybody in the chat has more questions about like Godot or just the processes today and shaders, let us know. I think what we're gonna do for those of them, folks that wanna uh, jump in and just say hi. I think we're going to spend a couple of minutes in our general channel after the show because we're going to wrap up. And yeah, just chill and hang out. Like I said, today's like icebreaker question was like, what are some cool things you've seen in game dev, like shader networks, or just cool things in games in general? Because it's hot today, it's summer, so this kind of puns we speak puns. That's the game day developer knowledge. But yeah, thanks for stopping by with us, Brian, and we'll definitely keep in touch. And then if you have a demo for us to play at any time, we'll be happy to kind of share that around. Or if you have anything else you need, like a musician, we'd be happy to, get that out there. Um, but yeah, let me like work on this little tiny screen here, and then I'll send you guys on your way.
yeah,
There we go. All right, cool. I think that'll wrap it up for today. I'm going to post our general voice channel link. So if you all are interested and want to join us for a couple minutes in our general Discord channel, for those that are interested and able to, we'd love to have you. I'm going to use the restroom because I've been doing this for a while, and then I'll be back in. And yeah, we can chat for a bit. So if you have questions or if you want to talk to folks, if presenters are happen to be available, which I know some have to dip out a little bit, that's fine. But if you do happen to be around, feel free to stop by. If folks have questions, they can talk to you there, or any other developers. So if you just want to kind of chill and hang out and say hi, we're going to be in the general voice channel for a little bit, just kind of like I'm in this channel. It'll be the general channel in our Discord, and we'll be happy to just chat for a bit. But yeah, definitely check us out. Again, we have our prototype and play online coming up as our next event, and that will be uh, August 11th. It'll be in our Discord channel from 6 to 9 p.m. on a Friday night, so definitely check that out. We'll have a lot of folks, and if you think you have a game that you'd like to showcase on there, we'll be reaching out to folks on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff for requests for folks that we want to assign channels to, and we'll kind of go over that process. But it's a great way to kind of get some feedback and see how it's going. But yeah, thanks for everybody stopping by. This was an amazing event. I very humbled and honored to have so many great presentations. It was a lot of fun this month, and always is a great time to meet everybody. And if nothing else, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. We'll catch you next time, and have a good day. All right, see you later.